Welcome to the Revolution Summer $50,000 Fund Drive live stream. I'm here with Noche Diaz. My name is Sansara Taylor. We want to welcome everybody tuning in across the country. We have a really exciting live stream planned for today to tell you all about Revolution Summer, to give you a chance to contribute to something that is going to make a huge difference to people's lives here and all over the world. The fight for an actual revolution and the big plans we have this summer. A way to contribute, a way to learn about it, and to talk to some people getting involved in it, right, Noche?
That's right. And on behalf of the Revcom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity, we invite you to be part of Revolution Summer 2024, raising the slogans that we are working this summer for a real revolution, a whole new emancipating way to live, and a fundamentally different system, and to stop the U.S. Israeli genocide of the Palestinians now. Another world is possible. And one way to be part of Revolution Summer 2024 is right now to become part of meeting the $50,000 fundraising goal by July 4th, to really kick this off into high gear. Because as you'll hear more about as we go along and get more of a vision of how we intend to do this, this summer is our opportunity to do something truly great for humanity. This society is coming unraveled. We're going to get more into that. We have leadership in Bob Avakian, who's looked squarely at what the dangers of the direction this system is hurling humanity towards, and the possibility, if we get people together, get people organized, get people as a force, impacting now with those slogans and going to work on making that real throughout the summer, to be able to be in a position as things come apart, especially coming into the 2024 elections, to shape and influence the whole direction of the future towards revolution, real revolution, in the time we live in now. What better thing could you be doing with your time this summer? What greater cause could you be giving your money to this summer, this historical moment that humanity is facing? So I'm very excited to be here and to share that opportunity with you. To let you know, we have in store, we'll have a few guests on that we'll be interviewing. We're going to be getting into a little bit more of the dispatches on social media that Bob Avakian has been releasing constantly. But before we do that, we wanted to play a couple of videos, I believe, including from an interview that maybe you could introduce, but that you and Andy Z from the Revolution Nothing Less show did about 2 years ago now.
Yeah, we wanted to kick off this live stream with an excerpt from the video, excerpt from the interviews that Andy Z and I did on the Revolution Nothing Less show with Bob Avakian, where we ask him about what is a real revolution. And we wanted to kick this off because we are fighting for an actual revolution. And BA, in his recent social media messages, makes the point, and it's so true, that it is always a good thing when revolution is in the air, when people start thinking and talking about revolution. But then the question becomes, what is the goal of that revolution? What are the methods and the means to achieve that revolution? What do you mean by revolution? And we are very serious about an actual revolution. So we want to anchor this with you hearing this straight from Bob Avakian, from the most radical revolutionary leader and thinker on the planet today. And this is going to anchor Revolution Summer, and it's going to anchor our live stream today. So let's hear that excerpt. So you've dedicated your whole life, over decades, to making revolution and emancipating humanity. And I want to talk about revolution. It's a word that people throw around all the time. And people mean radically, very wildly different things when they use it. What is a real revolution, and why is that necessary?
Well, it's not a new variation of Charmin toilet paper, okay? That's the first thing we can say. It's not a change just in the culture, to be more serious. It means that you actually overthrow the existing system and replace it with a different system. That's what an actual revolution is. And yes, there's a lot of confusion, a lot of people. I remember, after I think it was Parkland shooting, there was big rallies that were held, and one of the students from there, got up to speak one of these big rallies, and the first thing he said was, "Welcome to the revolution," because there were, large numbers, masses of people there. Well, masses of people are one important ingredient of a revolution. You don't make a revolution with a handful of people. You need, millions of people ultimately to make a revolution. But the question is, what are those people fighting for? What are they aiming for? Are they aiming just to make changes within the existing system, or are they actually recognizing that you cannot bring about the positive resolution of all these different horrors that exist in this country, and we could go through them, but in the world as a whole, you cannot bring about a positive resolution to that, an elimination of all that within the confines of this system. That is another scientifically determined, evidence-based truth. And so therefore, a revolution means that you overthrow the system in order to, bring into being a completely different foundation in how the economy functions, different relations among people that are not oppressive, a different culture that instead of reinforcing all this garbage and oppression, actually reinforces emancipating relations among people and emancipating ideas among people, and all the political structures also are transformed in order to serve the further transformation of society, to uproot all the underlying basis for all this exploitation and oppression. That's a revolution. Nothing short of that is an actual revolution.
Welcome back.
All right, so that was Bob Avakian, the architect of the new communism, speaking on the Revolution Nothing Less show with me and Andy Z. The entire interview is a must-watch, 3 parts on our channel right here where we're live streaming from, the Revolution Nothing Less, the Revcom's channel. And what he's talking about is what we're aiming for, and it's what could the possibility of making an actual revolution, a real overthrow, as he spoke about, could be opening up soon. And that depends tremendously on what we do, what the Revcoms, what others who are lifting their heads and starting to think about revolution, the people that we're spreading this revolution to, what we do and what we win others to do this summer, right now and going into the fall. So we have big plans we want to tell you about, but before we bring on our first guest, which Noche will introduce, I want to give a shout out to everybody who is tuning in across this country one more time, and especially the watch parties. I know there's people watching gathered together in the north side of Chicago, different parts of Chicago, and the organizing center on the south side as well. People up at Revolution Books in New York City, people down at the the Revcom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity's organizing center in South Central Los Angeles. In the Bay Area, across this country, down in Texas, there's a Zoom watch party with people gathered to stream this together and share the experience over Zoom from 4 different cities across Texas who've been raising money for the Revolution Summer and participating. So I want to give love to all of you tuning in. Let us know where you're watching from. Leave a comment below. And to kick us off, and we don't have it on the screen yet, but we want to let you know that today we have a $50,000 goal, which is just the bare minimum to kick off Revolution Summer across this country. We need to reach that goal by July 4th. That is coming very soon. And today on this live stream, we want to get to the $30,000 mark with your participation and help. Yes, we get it on the screen. So our current amount that we're kicking off at is, I believe it's $2,827 is the number that we're beginning with.
That's
so
right.
We want to get this up to $30,000 today with your participation and help. So take a minute now, send a message, pick up the phone, call a friend, call family, get other people you know who you've met through the revolution or through being out in the streets standing up against the genocide in Gaza, people that you know who care, who are agonized about what's happening in this society, agonized about women's right to abortion being taken away, agonized that this system gives you the choices between genocide Joe and fascist Trump, and the reality that the whole damn system's got to go. You want them to hear about this. You want them to be part of strengthening this. Call them and ask them to tune in right now. Send them the link. Let them know about this live stream. And we need to expand the base of people who are learning about, participating in, and funding this revolution. Looks like we just got a donation, but I can't quite read it. So I want to give a thank you to whoever just donated. We'll announce it in a second. But with that, we want to also kick off with somebody who is donating and raising money in a very inspiring way. So let's play this video from David from the Revcom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity up in the Bay Area.
To my family and friends on the occasion of my birthday, 2024. To some of you, what I'm about to say may surprise, confuse, or offend you. But if you approach this with an open mind for the truth and put aside what everybody knows, I'm hoping that maybe you'll come out of this with a different perspective on things and you'll begin to act to change others. This year, the greatest birthday present you can give to humanity on my behalf is to take some time to think about what I'm about to say, what it means about your life, the lives of those you care about, and the lives of all of humanity. I'm not gonna lie. The world as it is a horror. And there is an ugly future or no future ahead of us and your kids if things continue the way they are and if you don't act quickly. There is a real possibility of a civil war in this country, being split with different groups and sections fighting for different outcomes. If you think I'm exaggerating about all of this, take some time to look at the words, intentions, and actions of the fascists and the Democrats themselves. Look into the congressional hearings on Trump's coup attempt on January 6, 2021, documenting just how close this came to happening, including splits at the very top of the country's military command. Some of you who've known me longer won't be surprised to know that I have been a supporter of the revolutionary leader, Bob Avakian, and the Revcoms, revolutionary communists, since I was 14 years old. I'm turning this year, and along with personal maturity, my political maturity has reached the point that I have the responsibility to step up and lead others in these intense times. I now lead the Revcoms in the Bay Area as part of a nationwide strategy to intervene in this looming civil war, to plant a pole that is opposed to both the fascists and the same old oppression of the Democrats. The leader of the Revcoms, Bob Avakian, has analyzed the times we're in, all the divisions and chaos that will get worse, and how this makes revolution more possible. I also know a lot of you are stuck feeling hopeless and depressed, trapped in a heartless society. Well, there is hope, not on a religious basis, but on a scientific foundation to bring into being a much better world. That hope is revolution for a new socialist republic, a concrete plan and vision for a new way to organize society. This needs to and can become something that millions of people demand and fight for. And you can be part of the first initiators to lead people in doing that, giving your life a much higher purpose and meaning. For my birthday, you're invited to join me on Zoom to get into the challenge that I just raised and to ask me anything. Definitely, instead of gifts, please donate to this revolution. I'm setting a personal goal of raising $1,000 from friends and family to help towards outreach, materials, and travel costs to hotspots for revolution this summer.
How you doing? And I do just want to remind everyone who's watching, follow my hands, and if you look down here,
oh, nicely done,
you will see there is all the ways you can donate, by calling, by going online, in the different kinds of ways.
Venmo, Cash
Okay.
App, giving
And-
your calling up, going onto the website through PayPal. You can make a donation any of those ways.
And I want you, that's especially important because I want you to listen and think about that very carefully as Sansara sets you up for what you need to do with that and why it's going to matter even more right now.
Well, I also want to say, David,
No.
in the challenge that he put out to his family is beautiful. He's saying to all of his family, his loved ones, on his birthday, there's nothing more meaningful you could do than engaging seriously this revolution and the revolutionary leader Bob Avakian and giving to the Revcoms and Revolution Summer. And that's an example I think a lot of people should take up. He's trying to raise $1,000 that way. Really important. We're going to be sharing a lot of creative ways that people are spreading the revolution while raising money for the revolution throughout the live stream today. I want to give a shout out to our today's first donor. We got a $30 donation. Thank you. You got us kicked off. We need a lot more of that coming in. Again, our goal for today is $30,000. So I'm excited to say that we got a message from a group of people who are watching together on the north side of Chicago. They're supporters of the Revcom and collectively have come up with a $1,000 donation which they would like to give as a matching challenge that'll kick us off and get us some momentum on today's live stream. I'm going to read what they said. Inspired by the student opposition to the genocide in Gaza, many in our Chicago group visited campuses and encampments this spring with the message that the way to end genocide is to overthrow the imperialist system, the main source of these human catastrophes. And the way to make that revolution happen is to start following BA, Bob Avakian, and look into why we are living in a time when revolution is possible. Given the deep divisions within the imperialist ruling class, amidst the threat of world war and climate disaster. Some of us are old enough to have participated in the student movements of the 1960s, when opposition to the genocidal war in Vietnam and in support for Black liberation struggles drove us into the streets. The movements at that time were so widespread that many of us felt there might be a revolution right here in the belly of the beast. But at that time, there was no clear strategy, no clear leader, no group or vision of the kind of society that we would build in its place. Now, all those things exist in the work and the leadership of Bob Avakian, the Revcom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity, and the Constitution for the New Socialist Republic in North America, a document that Bob Avakian authored. Our group in Chicago supports the message and goals of the Revolution Summer 2024, and we are looking forward to seeing as many of you as possible at protests at the Democratic National Convention this summer. To that end, we have collected $1,000 among us for a match challenge to those joining the fundraising live stream today. So this means we are right now at $2,838. When we get $1,000 more, this will kick in and it'll immediately become $2,000 more. So we'll be at $4,838 with this matching challenge. So if you give right now, your donation is doubled. Please take a minute, go to Venmo, go to Cash App, like Noche said, right there on the bottom left of your screen. You see all the details, how to call. If you want to talk to somebody and have them talk you through your donation, do that now. And why don't you let us know who our first guest is going to be?
Well, yeah, thank you for that, and that's a very important statement. And
Yeah.
I did want to just reflect real quickly as part of introducing our first guest and setting up, what we want to get into is you think about the first video you saw from Bob Avakian and the interview you did with him, and what an actual revolution is, and what we're talking about when we say the possibility for that is greater in this time. And think about what they describe in that letter of the times when people were rising up against the system, but were not able to break through and make a revolution, what they did not have then. And what it has meant for decades since to go from a genocidal war the U.S. was waging in Vietnam to a genocide that the U.S. is backing up, arming, and supporting now against the people of Gaza, carried out by Israel with U.S. bombs and support. And what it would mean to actually make a revolution to put an end to that once and for all, not just fight it, not just stop this genocide, but put an end to the system that has caused this. And I want you to think about that. I'm going to read from one of the dispatches Bob Avakian put out right in the middle of the upsurge in people demanding an end to this genocide that happened on the campuses. And he spoke about how, I'm just going to read, quote, "In taking part together with others in protests and resistance against injustice and oppression, we have two basic objectives: to unite all who can be united in the broadest way possible on the most principled basis in the struggle against this injustice and oppression, and to put forth, encourage broad discussion and debate around and win as many people as possible to our understanding of the fundamental cause of all this injustice and oppression and what is necessary to put an end to it and uproot the basis for it. Our scientific understanding that all these injustices, all this oppression is fundamentally rooted in this system of capitalism-imperialism, and while resistance against this is very important, it will require a revolution to overthrow this system and bring it to being a fundamentally different and truly emancipating system in order to actually eliminate and uproot all this injustice and oppression." This is, we'll get into this more, but this is an example of how he's leading through this very tumultuous situation, but also what we could rise to if we take that up and go with it. And the genocidal, slaughter of people in Gaza carried out by Israel right now that the U.S. has been supporting is in the similar way as the Vietnam War, defining how a lot of people are coming to see America and what it's all about. And as part of welcoming Michelle Chai, leader of the Los Angeles Revcom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity, I'm going to introduce a video of her speaking as she was together with others at UCLA when students were had set up an encampment there and come under attack.
Members of the Revcom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity were out at UCLA all day yesterday and then late into the night, overnight in fact, just leaving this morning a couple of hours ago. They were there together with thousands of others, students and people from all across Los Angeles. As we will show you from their Instagram stories throughout the night and from other footage, the scene was one of tremendous courage, determination, and even joy. This is Michelle Chai of the Revcom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity speaking late last night.
I'm Michelle Chai, and we're out here at UCLA. Tonight there was a dispersal order that was issued, so we're currently sitting on the steps. We're doing a sit-in, and look, we're bringing the message of revolution. We're here to defend the rights and lives of students. We cannot allow the repression against these pro-Palestinian voices to continue to go on. So we're here today. One, the resistance, this beautiful, inspiring resistance that we've been seeing from Columbia University all the way to here at UCLA, it needs to spread, and it has the potential to spread all over society. That's why we're here, to strengthen that, and to spread that. Two, we are here to defend all anti-genocide protesters. Do not let them divide and demonize a movement with right on our side. And three, everyone that's here needs to go to deeper questions. Why is this happening? Why is it that this imperialist system is continuing this horrific genocide against the Palestinian people? Why is it that at the same time when these righteous protesters are standing up and saying no more, they're coming in with their police and their riot gear? We, the Revcom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity, invite you to dig into these questions, to go and listen to number 27 of the Baba Bakian dispatches on the social media to get a scientific understanding of why that is. And we invite you to come on May Day and march and say we need and we demand a revolution for a whole different way to live, a fundamentally different system. Stop this U.S.-Israeli genocide against the Palestinians now, and stop capitalism-imperialism from stealing our future.
Around 6 p.m., people were told to leave the encampment.
You will be in violation of the law and may be subject to administrative and criminal actions.
But instead, as I mentioned, all night long, more protesters showed up. They screamed at the top of their lungs to stop the genocide in Gaza. They defended the students and their encampment. They did this in the face of force and repression being brought down on them. Several times, these protesters nonviolently linked arms and stood their ground outside the encampment and repelled police attempts to storm it. Here's another update from Michelle, followed by a bit more footage of the scene throughout the night and the morning.
It is 3:55 in the morning. What you hear behind me is the CHP moving in on the encampment. Students are not backing down in the encampment. People are holding the line. Just a few hours ago, at 1 in the morning, LAPD moved in on the encampment, and they had to make a tactical retreat. We, the Revcom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity, we're standing here with the students, defending the rights and lives of students, and not allowing these pigs to, just be allowed to come in and illegitimately arrest and destroy the encampment of these students that are righteously standing up, inspiring people across the country, and are saying no business as usual while a genocide is being done.
Welcome back, and join me in welcoming Michelle Chai to the program. I do want to shout out, we're going to maybe update you all in a minute, but we did just get a very generous donation that we really appreciate. But we are going to be calling on you to be giving throughout this segment. Listen, but also, open up your ears, your hearts, your wallets, and your minds. And so with that, Michelle, we just played this video which to kind of remind us all about what it was like when some of these student protests punctured the atmosphere with people standing with the people of Palestine, the vicious repression that came out. And then you see what what you and others in the Revcom Corps were part of doing in the midst of that. And I thought this would be a good way to begin, talking with people about what we're working on this summer, and why it matters for for people to give and to donate right now, and the various objectives and tasks we've set before ourselves this summer. So why don't you share a little more about that, or how you've been how we've been working on that?
Yeah, well, first of all, shout out to everybody watching all over the country. And I think, that was a very powerful video to show. I think, I hadn't seen it in a minute. So I just kind of going back to some of the, the vicious repression against these student protesters that actually inspired. Look, I do a lot of work in the base in South Central Los Angeles, right? And there was, when there was the height of these protests, there was a lot of people in the neighborhoods who were saying, like, I know how much it actually takes for these students to get into a university like USC, which was like less than a mile away from where we were, doing a lot of this work, right? Where people were actually seeing what was happening and really recognizing the kind of courage and what these students were putting on the line, right? And we're seeing the repression of the police, which a lot of these people are very familiar with, and and there needed to be this actually bringing of these two sections together, right? Where people, well, I could get into it more as we go along, but a very important thing that we did in the midst of that as well, amongst like in the neighborhood, was we made this banner that said, "From South Central Los Angeles to Palestine, we need real revolution, hands off this brave students and hands off Gaza." And we took it out to the neighborhood. People were signing it. People were pulling over their cars, jumping out of the car, excited to sign it, because they felt like, again, this was at the height of when there was all this, very intense and very inspiring protests where people did feel like, how do I help? How can I contribute? And, and I think at this same moment where people are going through all these changes, right? There was, somebody we've been working with who was talking about how they went through a big transformation in their thinking during the uprisings in 2020, right? And so here we are, 4 years later, where this is, people all over the world are seeing this genocide happen right before their eyes, and they're being forced to confront what this government is actually, backing and aiding, and they're forced to actually ask themselves, what am I doing in the face of that, right? And so the Revcom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity being out in the midst of these protests, like you saw in those videos, losing sleep, not leaving the campus, staying out there all night, defending the rights and lives of people, spreading the message of this revolution, standing with these students, and then going out to the neighborhoods in South Central LA, and actually, fighting to bring both these things together is what we're doing, this summer. And I wanted, this is from our working document that, that the Revcom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity is working on, revolution, building up the basis to go for the whole thing with a real chance to win, which is up on our website, revcom.us. The first point of orientation and practical guidance says, everything depends on bringing forward a revolutionary people from among the most bitterly oppressed in all parts of society, first in the thousands and then in the millions, as a powerful revolutionary force, organized from the start and consistently with a countrywide perspective, impacting all of society and changing the terms of how masses of people see things and how every institution has to respond. Everything must be focused now on actually bringing forward and organizing this revolutionary force. And so that's what we're working on. That's what we're, bringing people into and grappling with, and actually, what your funds are going to, which, speaking of, we got word that there's hundreds of you tuning in, and we got to keep that money coming in to be able to fund this revolution.
That's right. And one of the things that was getting up and around the campuses are stickers like, well, there's more than this one, but that got up all around and were part of not just sending out this message, but actually, this is one of the things I wanted you to maybe, briefly say a little bit more on. You mentioned in that, what you just read from, the impact that needs to be had throughout society with the aim of bringing forward a revolutionary people, and the need to organize a determined force as part, for revolution. So I wonder if you could just, share a little bit of what that looked like and what a key lesson was. And I know we had a teach-in off of that because people were inspired by the students, but also had a lot of questions. But on top of all of that, and most importantly perhaps, is that in the course of doing all of that, we also worked with a lot of people who were, questioning things and wanting to pursue why is this going on and what really needs to be done about this for the interests of humanity. So maybe you could share something briefly on those two things.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really important and exciting experience, because I think there was a lot of lessons, to draw out of that, including, on the Revolution Nothing Less show, we did show excerpts of that teaching, right? And it showed the kinds of people that were brought together, but also we did like almost every week Zooms where people were coming on and we're actually working on this problem of how much still amongst, like in South Central, there was a lot of ignorance about what's actually happening in Palestine. We were going to the high schools where there was a lot of people, who were raising, well, why don't you go live in Palestine then? If you care so much, why are you here? And then also a lot of people that were, who were saying, who just had no idea what was happening, right? But when we did show them these pictures, right, of parents holding their dead babies, right, when they saw the rubble of people's homes and people, the hospitals and all of this, being completely destroyed by U.S. bombs, people were like, what the hell, what is happening, and why is it happening, right? And so this was a big question that, as we were getting invited to go to, another teaching and a different campus, and we met a lot of people and we were putting to them this problem, and we're saying, let's go work on this. How do we have, it's important to have these teachings on these campuses, and let's go have one in South Central. Let's go have one amongst the people who have a lot of questions and who actually, have been absent of this struggle, right? And actually bring them into this. And at the same time, as we're going deeper into fundamentally, why is this happening? Why, why is this genocidal war happening now? And why are they not stopping it, but intensifying, right? And so there were students, there were, activists around Palestine. There was professors, there was different people who actually, wanted to throw in to organizing it, to coming and speaking at it themselves, inviting other people, inviting us to their high schools, to go and spread the word, and joining us in passing out the flyers and inviting people to come to the teaching. So, at the same time as they were also getting into all these deep discussions, we were getting into the social media messages from Baba Bakian. We were going out and spreading the word about this revolution and meeting other people, right? So this was a really important and exciting experience because, we were, there was a different style of work where we were making our plans, getting out with people, where we were getting invited to somebody's high school graduation and getting out there with the banner and actually, and celebrating with her, and also getting out the word about the teaching.
So I have one more question for you before you go, but just real quick, I want to once again encourage people to donate, and what you've just been hearing about the work, that the Revcom Corps has been part of carrying out. All of that requires tremendous amount of fundraising, and raising those funds, including through live streams like this, is part of how people like you and other people that who may not be able to be out there on the campuses and in the neighborhoods and organizing events and being, creating banners and all that stuff, can actually be part of making it happen and learning about it and spreading the word about it. Someone who came to that teach-in and who has since been working with the Revcom Corps in preparation for this live stream actually made gave a statement, and I'll just read it real quick. Where he says, "Hey Revcom LA, I donated $50 today for the Revolution Summer $50,000 fundraiser by July 4th. I want to continue helping humanity to emancipate humanity into a whole new way of living while building alliances. Now, this is someone who's like we just met and who has spent a lot of their time, heroically fighting to stop the destruction of the environment, and is very concerned about the future for humanity if the system's allowed to go on, and is hungry to find out why does it keep going on and what could we really do to carve out a better future for humanity. And that's the sentiment that they wanted to share, which we want to appreciate, acknowledge, but also point to in terms of like what people can do and what you should be part of also doing. And I wanted to pick up on some of the things you said, including you were talking about the pictures of which we had put out there of what's going on to the people in Palestine. But as part of this, what we got brought forth through the course of the teach-in that you were discussing is people who are working together with us for this Revolution Summer, and to kick this off with a very exciting July 4th saying no to celebrating America, this model of depraved racist genocide, and putting together the pictures of the people in Gaza, who are being slaughtered, by this system, Israel and the U.S., supported, armed, and backed by the U.S., putting together those pictures with the pictures of the people who have been murdered in the slow genocide of police terror and mass incarceration of black people as well as Latinos, and putting that together with the pictures of the people at the border who have been demonized, dehumanized in genocidal language and talk, and put in camps in this country by this brutal, heartless system, putting that all together and pointing that out as being, again, the history and the current reality of this country, calling on people to bring their symbols and, their words and their hopes to say that no to celebrating America, and yes to we need and demand a revolution for a whole new way to live in a fundamentally different system. I don't know if you wanted to, share a word or two about how that came about, how we, what we've been planning. I know, we want to keep some things a little bit close, but.
Yeah, I mean, this is part of like building off of the teach-in, right? Is that, bringing together people that, are going through a transformation, right? Where they are actually, just to come back to the example of this person who, made this statement, where they really are agonized over, there has to be something deeper here. All the solutions that are put forward around the environmental movement seem like they're causing, just the same. It's just working within the same thing, and it's just causing the same amount of like, destruction of the environment. There has to be something else. So at the same time as we're going deeper into those questions, we're bringing people together to get into the number 2 of the dispatches from Bob Avakian that gets into America, truly a model of depraved racist genocide, to actually get into like, what is the actual foundation of this system? Why do we say that this system cannot be reformed but must be overthrown, right? And so as part of that, at the same time as there's people who are like, I still think that we have to vote out some people this November, right? And are also, raising this question of how is Palestine really going to get free, who are throwing in their ideas, their creativity, their time, who are traveling from an hour away cities to come into town to work on, July 4th, and actually how we're going to bring alive everything you're describing about the horrors of what this system actually, brings on people, right? And so we're really working on this in a way where we're involving people in making the plan, and on the day itself, on the 4th, a way where people actually can come and bring their pictures of their loved ones that were killed by the police, people that can bring baby clothes to do symbols of like the children that have been slaughtered in this genocide, right? People that can bring pictures or any kind of symbol that show the reality of like what it means when people cross this is, you know, come from other parts of the world and cross this border, and the, you know, how people are treated as less than human, right? And to speak their words of rage and speak their words and their hopes for a whole different future.
Michelle, I want to thank you for joining us, and I want I want the audience to appreciate what's in this poster that we've made for July 4th that is putting all this together. And we are here having a procession and a dramatic, bold action that we're going to be carrying out on the day. And we encourage people, wherever you are, to do the same. Or if you're in the area, again, come to LA and be part of July 4th, kicking off Revolution Summer 2024. And reflect on some of the things Michelle was sharing as we go into this summer, lessons on how we have big impact on society, how we're working with people to build up the forces for revolution, and not just against one or another outrage, but all as part of like really fighting with people to recognize what's necessary fundamentally to bring about an end to this system, but also the chance and opportunity we have in the time we're living in now, because of how sharp things are, to actually make that revolution. So again, thank you for joining me, and I want to welcome Sansara back on video. We have a video we want to share with you from New York. Oh, okay. There's a video from New York. You're going to watch it. It's going to be great. And Ms. Sansara is going to be joining us back after the video is done. So thank you.
Hello. I am a supporter of the Revcom Corps for the Emancipation for Humanity. And whenever donations are needed, whenever fundraising is called for, I always do my best to contribute as much as I can. Financial support is essential to this organization, which seeks to bring about an actual liberating revolutionary movement here within the belly of the beast, to bring about an end to this fascist, capitalistic, imperialistic system that we're all living in. It's important that I continue to support this organization financially, especially with the Revolutionary Summer that is planned, with its objectives to spread this message far and wide. And I ask that for all those who are watching, for all those who feel the need to bring about an end to the suffering, the subjugation, the oppression, the murderous system that we're living in, the genocidal movement that's happening against the people of Palestine, and all other atrocities that are happening around the world, to donate to this movement. And know that your donation, no matter how small or how big, will make a huge impact in bringing about an actual revolution.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Sansara. Glad to have you. Welcome back, audience.
Yeah. So listen, it was great to listen to Michelle Chai with the Revcom Corps here in Los Angeles. And we just heard from somebody from New York City with his good-looking Harlem t-shirt on. And I think it's important to emphasize this Revcom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity, this movement for revolution is a national movement. And everything you were talking about at the end, about July 4th, this has to be a kickoff across this country, July 4th actions, and they're being planned in Chicago, in New York City, here in Los Angeles, up in the Bay Area. I know in Texas people are making plans, and if you're tuning in from somewhere else, we see people on the live stream from Pennsylvania, from New Jersey. Where else are they tuning in from? Cleveland, watch party. A lot of love to Cleveland tuning in together. Yes, here in LA, Elise from the beach, Chantel at the Revcom LA Organizing Center. Boston is in the house, Georgia, down in Georgia. Wherever you're watching, first of all, a lot of love for tuning in, but this is a national movement, and we have to put this revolution on the map in these times. You've heard so far today about, big things are up in the world. We've made the point, and we're going to get into it further, that we're in a rare time when revolution is more possible. Things are coming to a head in this society. We are not in normal times, and this is not going to be a normal election season that we're going into. Things could erupt. The fight among the rulers could break all out of bounds. We don't know what shape this will take, but it's not going to be normal. It could develop into significant major military confrontations between different sections of the rulers, a new kind of civil war. We are looking at times where we cannot allow people to be forced to choose between fascist Trump, as it says in the shirt, and genocide Joe. Instead, the whole damn system has to go. This is what we're organizing for. And we, with Revolution Summer, are putting this revolution on the map, be putting it before thousands, tens of thousands, millions, fighting to get this onto the terrain right now, and to build up the organized forces into the Revcom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity. Grow the organized forces so that we can be shaping the terrain, shaping what millions are thinking. So when this fight breaks out, when the all-out fight over the direction of society, whenever it comes, when this erupts, or whatever shape it takes, people are not left choosing between the oppressors, but have a different force, a revolutionary force of thousands that is capable and ready to lead millions, to make a real revolution, to ripen that possibility and win that revolution. And we cannot afford to squander this opportunity. So this is what Revolution Summer is about. This is what we're kicking off July 4th. You're going to hear more about it. And this is what you are donating to now. We are in historic times. Turning point time. So I want to start by giving, continue maybe more correctly. I want to continue by really appreciating everybody who just donated. We met our first $1,000 match. That's right. I know that there was at least one $500 donation. I saw many smaller donations. This is the kind of dynamic we need. People giving at whatever's a reach and a stretch for you, but people of different levels of ability to contribute, giving what they can, and all of this synergizing and adding up and then being matched. So we are now at $4,983. I know there's somebody watching right now who wants to give $17 and be the one who gets us past the $5,000 mark. And once we get that, we'll have something more to announce. So let's get that right away. Oh, I held up this t-shirt. And I didn't just hold it up to give the slogan, although that's very important and it's a big theme of the summer. But this is a thank you gift. If you donate $20 or more today, I recommend you give more if you can. Give $100, give $200. Get it as a gift for a friend and give them the shirt and give the donation in their name. And then you're wearing it. You're letting people know these are not our only options. You're spreading the message. You're spreading the revolution as you're contributing to the revolution. So this is a great thank you gift. There's a couple other special thank you gifts, beautiful donations people have made to help with this. Oh, there we got the donation. We're at $5,030. So somebody just gave $47. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. And with that, we get to, maybe you want to announce this.
This.
There you go.
Well, so you just heard about the fact that we met our first matching donation, but have you heard that we got another matching donation?
There you go.
So this is what we want to, again, this is people like this who are contributing these matching donations. Not only are they throwing in, but they're also sharing these statements to challenge you to actually think about what they're sacrificing and throwing in, and think about what you are doing and what you can be part of fighting with other people to do. And hearing these voices from all these perspectives who are saying why gives you the clue to all the different kinds of people who need to be reached and want to contributing to this revolution and being involved in it. So with that, I want to read this pledge and matching challenge from a physician who supports the revolution. Making a $1,000 donation now, and I would like to make an additional match challenge. Once the next 1,000 are raised today or after, I will match that with a second $1,000 donation. Right now, let's message and call anyone we can. Pause to think of everyone you know who has lifted their head above the muck and mire and endless distractions of day-to-day life. Everyone who sees, even in some ways, what this country really does, and what the U.S. supports and enables so that it can function. And get them watching this fund drive, hearing what the Revcoms are doing in the coming months and why they need our financial support and involvement. Let's watch together and see what's happening and what could be. That as tens to hundreds of millions face one after another historic heat wave and conditions incompatible with human life, as displaced masses of humanity are degraded and brutalized by border guards with fascist vigilantes and their ruling class backers hungering to do more, as genocidal terror rains down on the people in Gaza, stealing and destroying lives, as people here and throughout the world are forced to live under a system of capitalism-imperialism that is maintained with this brute force that requires this inhuman devastation. In this time, let us all see that we do not need to accept this, that we can be part of building for a revolution to overthrow this with a strategy and approach rooted in science, leading an organized force of millions to take down this beast when the time is right, and then leading people in building a radically different economic and political system that can unleash the energies, conscious determination, and creativity of people in this process, as laid out in the Constitution for the new Socialist Republic in North America. The Revcoms are building for this now, and Bob Avakian, in his recent dispatches at Bob Avakian Official, is laying out this strategy and its basis for everyone to engage, learn from, and take up. Everyone who just can't stand to see our fellow human beings put through all this again and again and again. In the coming months, as more and more people are confronted with escalating crisis and the breaking down of normalcy, they can be compelled to see things they've been blinded from seeing up until now. And with the Revcoms on the scene, people can be led to confront in so many ways what this great American democracy really is and is really about. Break their tacit or overt allegiance to this rapacious system and join the fight for the future of humanity. Hear the call. Give your support. Join with the emancipators of humanity.
All right, so we saw that $1,000 that they gave go up on the board, so we're now at $6,030, and is for the next $1,000, whatever you give $20, you give $5, you give $500, you give $17, whatever you can give, or you can gather together with those that you're sitting with, that you're watching with, that you can get on the phone. Whatever you give for the next $1,000 will be doubled. So you give that now. Together we get another $1,000. We'll be at the $8,030 mark, and that'll be good momentum. Again, we are fighting to get to $30,000 today. That's a big, it's a big lift for any individual to do by themselves, but collectively we can make that happen, and we have people. I'm still getting more places. Seattle is tuning in. PA County. Countryside. We have people tuning in across the country. More people are tuning in. It seems like you are spreading the word. I want to appreciate that. So let's get past this. Oh, let's see. Artist supporter in Cambridge is setting up a table at a local farmer's market and donating all the proceeds to the fund drive. There's a lot of things. Thank you for that comment that just came in. There's a lot of different creative ways to go out and spread this revolution and raise the money. And like we said, this and like that physician who donated and made the matching pledge just said, there are people agonizing. The world is a nightmare, and it's getting more and more horrific. The people are out there. We have to go reach them with this, and we have to bring them into this. And it's an extraordinary opportunity we have right now. So there's a couple other things I want to let you know as thank yous that people, other creative ways people are supporting, and things that you could get as appreciation for donating. One is a beautiful portrait I'm hoping we could put up on the screen in just a second. Here it is. This is a beautiful painting. I mean, it's difficult to capture the beauty of a canvas painting through a the YouTube screen, but you get a feel for the texture, the depth, the beauty of this. And I want to read the statement from the artist who made this gorgeous portrait. They said, "The world is a terrible mess. Humanity is looking at some twisted dystopian future we all know the outlines of. It is frightening, and if not for the Revcoms and Bob Avakian's new communism, it would be despairing. The path and the vision BA has forged allows us to close our eyes and imagine overcoming all the horrors. It is because humanity needs an epochal change, and nothing less, that I am contributing an art piece I painted for this fund drive to help the Revcom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity take the necessary leap of building the forces we need. It's a 26-inch by 28-inch acrylic mixed media on wood and paper. See, I said canvas, wood and paper. I am a professional portrait painter. I am also a supporter of the Revcoms. This painting would ordinarily sell for over $1,000, but I am offering it for a contribution of at least $600 to today's live stream. If you would like to order a different portrait painted, go to Jeremy DBA Art. Oh, I'm getting it wrong. Jeremy DBART. That is Jeremy DB Art on Instagram, where you can check out more of my paintings. They can start as low as $100, and all the monies are donated to the Revcoms. So please donate, pass the word, and let's gather the resources necessary to fight for a future worth living in. So this is a beautiful portrait. Again, if you give $600, it looks like somebody just gave $600.
Jeez. Wow.
And you indicate that that's what you want. Yeah, definitely clap for that.
Yeah, I would just say to make sure to email us at getorganizedforrevolutiontour@gmail.com. getorganizedforrevolutiontour@gmail.com to make sure that we can arrange actually delivering it. And that goes the same for anyone who makes a donation over 20 and wants a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Okay, so just make sure you send us a note so that we can figure out how we can
so we can get you with your thank you gift and your appreciation. It is a really beautiful portrait. I am so thrilled that somebody, I believe they probably wanted that. If you just gave $600 and that's what you want it for, send an email again to
getorganizedforrevolutiontour@gmail.com.
Or call the number on the bottom of the screen and just make sure the volunteers answering the phone or the email know that that's what you want to claim as a thank you, and we will make sure it gets to you. That's beautiful. We also got a $50 donation. I want to give a shout out to whoever gave that. It's really, really needed. We have good momentum here. We're pretty close, over halfway to our next $1,000 matching donation, so let's keep it coming in. There's a few other things we'll show along the way, but I think maybe we want to, what should we do here?
Video.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh yeah, we have one more video we want to show. Go ahead.
We have another video we want to show you.
from supporters of the Revcoms down in Texas who are giving money and want to encourage you to do the same. Let's hear from them.
Hi, I'm Vic.
I'm Coco.
And we are from the Revcom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity in Texas.
Bob Avakian has said that communism needs legions of creative and critical thinkers. Well, we are both artists, and we think there is nothing more important that we can contribute our creativity to than making revolution in these times.
People's minds, bodies, and imaginations are chained by this system of capitalism-imperialism. They're afraid to even hope, and they're told the lie that this is the only way that the world can be. People are mired in all of these unscientific and harmful ideas of a putrid culture that encourages them to turn their backs on humanity.
And too many artists and intellectuals, even when they want a better world, refuse to see beyond the narrow horizons of the system to imagine or even learn about a real revolution.
Yeah, what we need to do is break out of this suffocating atmosphere, and we don't do that by voting for one oppressor or the other, or fighting for crumbs in our corner, or by retreating into safe spaces to make our art while the world burns. No, we do that through learning and applying and bringing to people the new communism, giving them a scientific way to understand the world and then to change the world.
Right now, people in this country are locked in a dark, airless room. They can't see beyond the walls. They don't know what's out there. And Revolution Summer can thrust open the windows, can bust open the doors. It can let the light and the air in and show people what the world could be, and most importantly, how to get there.
People can only learn about and step into this revolution if we are getting into every corner of society with bold and unforgettable actions and materials in the streets and all over social media. This is going to take a lot of funds. So we are asking you to ask your friends and your family and your community to financially support Revolution Summer while you begin to learn about and spread this revolution.
Look, we have a chance to bring humanity to a whole new stage of existence where people are lifted up instead of pushed down. We have the leadership and we have a blueprint for this revolution to bring this system down at long last. So there is nothing more important or more beautiful that you could dedicate yourself to. So this Revolution Summer, we will see you out there.
Stay cool, comrades.
All right, welcome back. That was two Revcoms from Texas who are donating, who are raising money and calling on you to contribute generously. We're really close to meeting our second $1,000 match, so keep your donations coming in. It makes a big difference. What we want to do is we've been talking quite a bit so far, a little bit here and there, about Bob Avakian's social media messages. This is a new and very... Oh, we made the match. Okay, I'm interrupting myself. We made the match. Yeah. We're at $7,419. Yeah. It's worthy of interrupting myself. Do you have something you want to add? You got on a note? We have our...
No, that was the note, is that we had the physician's letter that we just read, who donated put up the $1,000 match that got matched. It's also... It's the person who donated the 600 was just before we announced the portrait.
Yeah.
And so it's just, we want to ask the person if they can reach out and clarify so that we can, let people know if this is still available for folks, because we don't want to, take that off if people still want to donate to get one, but also, we did it. We were announcing it at the same time.
If you gave the $600, please reach out to us right away on the phone number on the screen, 323-671-9339. No, I got that wrong. 9839. It's on the screen. Read it on the screen. Give us a call so we can make sure we either get you that painting or let everybody viewing that the painting is still available. Very important. We've been talking, and thank you to the physician, and thanks to everybody on the north side of Chicago who kicked us off with our first generous matching donation. This really matters. We have been talking about Bob Avakian's social media. It's a big deal that this revolutionary leader, who has got such a tremendous heart for the masses of people, who's been putting it on the line for over 50 years, fighting for a real revolution since he became a revolutionary back in the 1960s. At the upsurge of that time, fighting against the Vietnam War, fighting for the liberation of black people, working very closely with the Black Panther Party leaders in their most revolutionary days. And through that, like so many of his generation, becoming a revolutionary, seeing that the problem is this system and we need to overthrow it. But then, unlike so many of that generation, he never gave up. He never sold out. He never let go of the need for revolution because the problems of this system didn't go away. They got worse. And not only did he not give up, he went to work on all the things that people ran up against, that they didn't understand, that they didn't know how to break through on, to make this revolution right here in the belly of the beast, the most challenging place in the world to make a revolution, but also to forge the advances in scientific understanding and method to chart the course to make revolution around the world and have it lead to real emancipation. Learning from and building off of the tremendous liberating experiences of the first wave of communist revolutions in the Soviet Union, in China, which have since been long reversed, but also from broader human experience, from philosophy, from history, from the arts, to develop and forge a new communism. And Bob Avakian is taking this whole framework, this whole new framework of human emancipation that he has forged through struggle over decades, and he is applying it in real time to this extraordinary time that we are in, a rare time, which he's identified. He's used the tools of this science to identify this is a rare time when revolution is more possible than it has been in generations. And he's bringing people the scientific understanding that you need in real time to understand the events that are happening around us, and not be whipped around by events and disoriented, but see where we need to, what is really happening, what's really going on, and where we need to take this, and to train you in the same methods of science so that you can increasingly become a strategic commander, trained in this revolution and a strategic commander of this revolution, fighting to spread this among thousands and millions of others so we can change the course of history. You don't get a chance to do that very often. So it's a big, big deal that Bob Avakian is now on social media, that he's putting out these messages, audio messages regularly, 2, 3, 4 times a week often. And we want to talk some about the importance of this and how this is going to be at the center of our work throughout Revolution Summer. Internal to everybody who's getting trained in this revolution, what we're immersing in, what we're studying, but also out to the world, what we're taking out to people, what we're introducing others to, the questions we're putting before them, how we're struggling with them, what they're coming into. So we thought there's really no substitute to starting off with playing Bob Avakian the way he starts off his very first social media dispatch. So let's play that, then we'll have some things to say about it.
Bob Avakian, Revolution, number 1. This is Bob Avakian, B.A., revolutionary leader, bringing forward a whole new way, a whole new framework for human emancipation, the new communism. I'm coming to you straight up, bringing truth the powers that be don't want you to have, truth you need to know, the truth about the revolution we need, why this revolution is necessary, why and how it is actually possible, and what this revolution is all about. Because if you don't understand why we need a revolution and how that revolution could be possible, then you don't know what you need to know. I'm not talking about some so-called revolution that leaves this system of capitalism-imperialism in power, crushing lives and killing spirits on a massive scale. This is not about just changing the faces of the oppressors who are ruling this people-killing, environment-destroying, nuclear war-threatening system that poses a growing danger to the very existence of human beings everywhere. And I'm not talking about what goes on now, where some get ahead and a few get big bank and become part of the business of exploiting people, while masses of people are still held down, exploited, abused, and despised. I'm talking about a real revolution, a revolution to actually overthrow this system we are now forced to live under, and bring something much better into being, a whole different way to live and to relate to each other, a completely different system, working to meet the fundamental needs of the masses of people, and to serve their highest interests in putting an end to all oppression and exploitation everywhere in the world. A revolution and a radically new society that really is liberating and uplifting. And I'm talking about a real revolution in this time, not in some far-off, distant time. But, you say, this could never really happen. We could never really win. Yes, we could. And I'm going to get into how as this goes along. I'm going to break all this down and make it come alive in a series of messages coming to you so everyone can get it. I'm going to rip away the camouflage covering up the brutal reality of this so-called great democracy and great system that we are now forced to live under. And I'm going to get down on how people need to get out of the bullshit they are into and get into this revolution now. And for any of you woke posers and hustlers out there, don't even bother with that nonsense about who are you to say all this. I'll tell you who I am. I am someone who is heart and soul hardcore serious about a revolution where people can get all the way free. Someone with a scientific understanding of the need and the possibility for this revolution. As serious as this is, I don't have time, and we don't have time for any of this pitiful, going nowhere good garbage about who has the right to say this or that. Everyone has the right and the responsibility to learn the truth and to speak the truth, especially about truly life and death matters, dealing with the whole situation and the whole future of humanity. And everyone has the right and the responsibility to act on that truth. So those of you who are not afraid of the truth, get ready for messages coming at you, bringing the reality of what is going on in the biggest and deepest dimensions. And most of all, the reality of the revolution we urgently need. The revolution we have a real chance to bring about, right in this country, right in this intense and momentous time we are living in now.
Welcome back. That kicks off Bob Avakian's social media, and if you haven't already, go to whatever social media platform that you're on and go to Substack. If you're not on Substack, get to it, because you can actually get every dispatch as it comes out by following at Bob Avakian Official on all the social media platforms, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram,
TikTok, all of them. Facebook, Bob Avakian Official, at Bob Avakian Official on all your social media platforms, and on Substack. If you're not on social media, you can go there without an account. You can just read them and watch the YouTube videos there. And on the Substack, you get a transcript of them so that you can read along. The videos on YouTube also, you can read along, but it's very helpful to have it. I want to actually share an experience we had reading along with one of them in a little bit. But first, I do want to just pause and appreciate everything you were saying since our introducing this about Bob Avakian, but also have people think about what it means when he stops and answers the BS and says, I'll tell you who I am. I'm someone who is heart and soul, hardcore serious about a revolution where people can get all the way free. Someone with a scientific understanding of the need and possibility for this revolution. And as serious as this is, I don't have time, and we don't have time, for any of this pitiful, going nowhere garbage about who has a right to say this or that. Everyone has the right and the responsibility to learn the truth and speak the truth, especially about truly life and death matters, dealing with the whole situation and whole future of humanity. And everyone has the right and responsibility to act on that truth. Now, that's a very forceful statement from him, but it also is very true about who he is. And you don't understand what it means for people to have a leader like this. I was speaking with some people in the neighborhood, a young person who very moved hearing about the horrors about what's happening to people, and that there are some folks who are standing up to say that the things don't have to be this way and we can work for a revolution, for a whole new emancipating way to live. But it does come up, will you be there as things go on? Will people actually be dedicated to this, or are we getting our hopes up? Because you see a lot of other people talk a lot of talk and then go away. And this young person was saying too, you see a lot of people getting into bad stuff in the neighborhoods. Yes, people are oppressed, and we need to understand it's the system, but people are also thinking in the system way and get caught up in fucked up things. But for people like that who want to hope, against the sort of muck and mire the system has them caught up in, what it means for them that there is a leader who has not given up, who has not sold out, who has not turned his back, who has not stabbed people in the back, and or tried to go for something less, and especially at this time to be continually working constantly to lead people to seize on this historic opportunity. It is a tremendously valuable and important thing that is really hard to express in words, which he does, but it's hard to really express in words the importance of that and what it means for people, the chance to get free, and what it means to have someone like this. And we want to talk more about what he gets into in these dispatches, but we shouldn't do that without appreciating what it means to people that this leader is actively leading in this way and making this kind of a connection with the people who need to be led to do what needs to be done at this time. So, I just wanted to pause on that briefly as we then go back into what's the sort of starting point of this dispatch in terms of the
if you don't understand why we need a revolution and how this revolution could be possible, you don't know what you need to know. And that's the heart of like the first 11 dispatches he gets into, which have been at the core of the Revcom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity, in terms of how people are learning more about this revolution as they take part in spreading the word and building for this revolution. And I know you have something exciting to announce about that, Zanzara.
Yeah, well, that direct connection that you just spoke about between Bob Avakian, this heart and soul, hardcore, far-sighted, world-class revolutionary leader who is charting the course and fighting with all he's got to lead us to make a revolution in this time, for all that would mean for humanity, a revolution in this country. The direct connection between him and growing numbers of people hearing his voice, hearing the leadership he's providing in real time, getting trained in that way, and knowing how to understand events, what to think about, how to think about them, what to pay attention to, and have real political education and guidance in real time, in momentous times, it's just unparalleled. And as Noche was just saying, the first 11 of these dispatches, they answer those two big questions that BA begins the message we just listened to with. If you don't know why we need a revolution and why this revolution is possible, then you don't know what you need to know. It's because the powers that be don't want you to know. These are truths the powers that be don't want you to know, that Bob Avakian is breaking down in a way that everybody can understand. And so getting into these social media messages, all of them as they come out, we're now in the high 50s, mid 50s of messages that he's put out, but grounding in the first 11 that answer those two big questions, that get into the nature of the system, the depravity of America, the revolution we need, that we're in a time when it's possible, how this revolution could be made, how to understand why the U.S. is backing the genocide in Gaza, what that tells you about the nature of the system, and the connection between what's being done, the slaughter the U.S. is backing over in Gaza, the connection between that and the misery that oppressed people in this country are being put through in the neighborhoods, the terror by the police, the violence against women, the depravity of what this system means here and all over the world. Bob Avakian breaks it down. And so this summer, Noche actually announced this at Revolutionary May Day. We put it on the Revolution Nothing Less show, but we are telling you more about it today. We are launching a revolution school this summer. Really soon, actually, right after July 4th, the week coming, the second week of July, enrolling everybody who is interested in understanding, seriously understanding the answers to those two questions, why we need a revolution and how this revolution is possible. Everybody who knows we need leadership for that and wants to learn from the most advanced revolutionary leader on the planet today, sign up. We're going to do a 4-week course that gets into the first 11 social media dispatches, provides a collective forum for people around the country to wrangle together, to get inside of it, to understand what this system doesn't want you to understand. And then after that, to build on that, we'll have ways for people to continue to collectively engage the social media as they come out. And this is to both train all of us and new people coming into political life, and to build up the forces to go out and impact and change the terrain in society overall, spreading the social media from Bob Avakian broadly and fighting the power and transforming the people for revolution, taking this out to cultural events, taking it out to flashpoints where, with the conventions this summer, the political conventions, places where fascists are rallying against people's rights, where people's lives are under attack, standing up against the system from the perspective of revolution and lifting people's sights in many different ways. So we want to, raise money for that. It costs money, the studio, the editing, all the equipment, the ability to put out these social media, the ability to organize people, to be together, to do the Revolution School, and then to have the materials for those getting trained in the Revolution School to go out in society, to be spreading this revolution. The stickers that Noche held up before, the posters, cost thousands of dollars to print all the materials that we're spreading, the t-shirts, the beautiful, beautiful pamphlet. We need and we demand a whole new way to live, a fundamentally different system that breaks down what this revolution is about. We need to be able to spread this as we're training people in this revolution school. So wherever you are, tomorrow at revcom.us, we're going to have a registration form go up, a little description of the school. Let us know that you're interested in enrolling. Let us know what day of the week, evenings, weekends are best for you. We will probably have We very well might have more than one session that accommodates different schedules. These will be by Zoom across the country, and you will come out changed. You will come out with a deeper, more scientific understanding of the fact that it is not necessary to put up with the horrors of this system and the world today, that we can be the dynamic factor in changing all of this, led and grounded in the scientific understanding that Bob Avakian is bringing to us in these social media. So sign up yourself, and then the people that you're meeting through this revolution, students that you met at the encampments, people that you're meeting when you go out, when the artist goes out to the farmer's market, people who we spread this to on social media. Get them to register. We need a lot of people. People are signing up for all kinds of courses, trainings this summer. Different political movements are training people who are lifting their heads and trying to understand the world. This is going to be the deepest and most scientific and most radical and revolutionary understanding you can get. So sign people up new and donate to it now. This is going to be a big part of anchoring Revolution Summer.
Yeah, including, I mean, you mentioning, you know, the materials and pamphlets, and we have a pamphlet of 1 through 11 that, you know, is very helpful for people in terms of going through this school. And again, this is going to be a key part of Revolution Summer 2024, and having the impact we need to have, but also organizing the forces for revolution through the course of this summer, and so that there is growing numbers of people who are representing as a Revcom Corps and really have a basic understanding of those two questions that he starts with in that dispatch we just listened to, which is how why we need a revolution and how that revolution could be possible. And people have not just, you know, an answer to that, but have some scientific grounding in those answers and ongoing sort of a connection to what they need to be able to learn and understand that. And not just themselves and the people who are part of this, but also they become a vehicle through which more people can get connected up to this. And you can see how, you know, in a very short period of time, relative to, you know, how quickly things are moving, we need to grow from the people who are organized into this now and are going through this school throughout the summer to be able to train the hundreds and lead thousands going into the end of the year, and ultimately lead millions, grounded on why we need a revolution and how that revolution could be possible, and are connected up with the ongoing leadership of how to seize this rare time to make that revolution.
We're going to continue to talk some about these social media and the impact they've had, but I want to insert here, since we are doing the fundraising live stream and we need the donations to keep coming in, two really meaningful donations announcements I want to make. One is that Juanita Young, who's, you and I both know her well and have worked with her back in New York, her son Malcolm Ferguson was murdered by police years ago. And she has been a fighter against police brutality and terror, but also somebody who, as she stood up against that, broadened her mind and really joined in the struggle around, I remember standing with her against the U.S. invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan, standing with her and standing up for abortion rights. She is somebody who has really got a heart and a fire for radical change and for revolution, and she's somebody who has tremendous respect for Bob Avakian as well, and what the Revcoms are doing. And she has made a very generous donation, $1,250, to this Revolution Summer Fund Drive. So we want to put that up on the board as soon as we can and give tremendous love to Juanita Young. It's an incredible thing to do in the name of the horror that was done to you, but to make sure that doesn't happen, that we get to a world where that never happens to anybody again, where their child is cut down by this system, whether it's in Palestine, in Gaza, or right down the street here in South Central LA, or in the Bronx, New York, or Cleveland, or wherever across this country. So that's a very, very meaningful donation. And the other thing I wanted to bring in was a really generous matching challenge. And we want to get this in now because it's a big one, and it's going to take us some time to collectively raise the money to meet this challenge. It's a very generous donation from somebody, and I'll just read what they say. They say the only future, it's a $5,000 donation if we can match it. Let me start with that, so you're thinking about the level of commitment and generosity this person is anchoring this in. And they write, the only future of this capitalism-imperialism is war, the daily humiliation, degradation, and literally killing of billions of our sisters and brothers around the world, and the environmental destruction of the planet and many species along with ours. Most people do not want to live this way. Well, guess what? Humanity does not have to live this way. But saying humanity does not have to live this way also means figuring out how to make this happen. We have some very precious tools to work with. And they listed a lot more in their full statement. We had to edit it down, so I'm going to highlight a few of them that are very important. They say we have some precious tools to work with. First, the leadership of Bob Avakian, who has transformed the objective situation in the world today by developing the new communism. So we can have the ability to be as scientific as possible as we analyze both the natural and social aspects of the world correctly, while always fighting for the whole world comes first. We also have the RNL, the Revolution Nothing Less show, being able to reach, train, and lead thousands and thousands of people through social media as well as through @BobAvakian Official on social media. So these are things, resources to donate to and to spread. They also write, we have the Constitution for the New Socialist Republic in North America. This is authored by Bob Avakian. It's available in English and Spanish. It's a powerful document. It's a blueprint that deals with all of the facets of how a new socialist society should be structured as part of developing a socialist mode of production economy, ending all oppressive relations, abolishing all class differences, and revolutionizing all ideas. Stop. Think about this. How incredibly precious and invaluable these tools are, without which we have no chance to make a real revolution. Humanity does not have to live this way. The opportunity of making a whole new world is possible in this rare time. But we need to use and to get these tools out very broadly. To do this, we need thousands of donations, small and big. I am not able to be in the streets anymore, but I can help by being part of making a whole new emancipating way to live. I can help be part of making a whole new emancipating way to live by donating. Join me. Get your friends to join. Get anyone and everyone you know who hates the way the world is. And that will be all of your friends and then some to pitch in. It is truly a liberating feeling to be part of this fund drive. So again, this is a $5,000 matching challenge. Donate now. Whatever amount you give will be doubled when we collectively get to the $5,000 mark. I'm going to ask the person helping us with the numbers to let me know the number that we started at. Are we starting it now at $9,769 or did...
Whatever's on the screen.
Okay, so we're starting it now at $9,769. When we get to $14,769, we will get the $5,000 more. So start giving now, and we're going to continue to talk a little bit more about these social media messages before we bring in our next guest.
Yeah, I do have. I mean, sorry, a little bit. Kind of moved by both of those statements together, and they bring together well what we have and the fucking horror of the world that we need to put an end to. And I really want to also share my love for Juanita Young and for whoever sent that last message and donation. And once again, this July 4th, bringing together the people in Gaza, Palestine, who have to bury their own, the people here who have had to bury their own because of police murder, and the people at the border who are having to, pick bodies up from the desert, who are being slaughtered by this system. And as that letter we just read said, we don't have to live this way. Okay, and this is why we're not only on fire and heating up. It's very hot in the studio, but in terms of like the horror, but also in terms of like getting into these dispatches, into the messages from Bob Avakian, because we're getting the tools that we need to be able to dismantle this system. And I really had this I wanted to share this great experience we had launching the Revolution Summer with folks who, a combination of people who've been working with the Revcom Corps, people who had just learned about it because of the teach-in we did around the genocide in Palestine, and people from the neighborhood that we had brought that teach-in to, who were coming together to hear about Revolution Summer 2024. And as part of that, part of building for it, but then also in what we did was listen to and read together Bob Avakian's dispatch number 11, where he really gets into why this is a rare time when revolution becomes more possible. What is different about the time we're living in now and previous times in history, which, yes, required and called out for revolution, but which there was not the same level of deepening crisis and opening possibility as there is now. And I have to say it was a different experience and different conversation that got opened up in terms of, what problem people think they're working on when they work with the Revcom. This is not something small. This is not what they tell you to just think about what little thing you can do to try to make things a little bit easier for somebody somewhere. But this is thinking about the biggest things in terms of the future for humanity and the greatest things that we could be doing with our lives, not just in general as good people, but as people who are living in this unique historical time. And I don't have we're not, here to get into everything he gets into in that dispatch, but I really do challenge and encourage people to listen to, especially, number 11, but also there's been several other dispatches and ongoing dispatches from Bob Avakian that get into how to understand what is different about the situation that we're in and how to understand how it's continuing to sharpen and create new possibilities. We read earlier number 33, which was in response to the upsurge amongst the students against the genocide in Palestine. And then as we were having that discussion of number 11 at this kickoff event, one of the big questions people had, which Michelle was sharing, was how do we understand voting or not voting in the elections? And it was funny because, I was telling people, this is exactly what Bob Avakian is speaking to. And he had just released 51 and maybe 52 had come out, which is where he's beginning to discuss, why we should not be voting for Biden, and certainly not Trump, in the 2024 election, even if it was right to stave off the fascist consolidation of power in 2020. Big question, very controversial. And we're gonna want to play a segment from that dispatch, but I do want to just once again, he's getting into the big questions, not just for you and me and people who are interested, but for everybody who is newly coming to life right now. Young people who are being shook to their core, seeing that their country that they're told is the land of freedom and democracy is carrying out and helping carry out an arm and support and an actual extermination of people across the world. And they're asking themselves, what do we do? And are we going to be played into backing one or another of the rulers? And people who have been at this for a little bit longer and are just meeting the revolution and are saying, well, how do we understand and fit ourselves into what's going on? And they were struggling in that meeting, but the biggest thing I want to convey here is how timely and how far-seeing the dispatches from Bob Avakian are in speaking to people who are beginning to come to life and ask these questions, and people who have been avoiding these questions maybe for too long, but are now really moved by the situation that we're in now to ask deeper questions and to go places they hadn't before, and to think about how that could get magnified by the thousands and ultimately millions as people are increasingly confronted with the sharpening situation and forced to question things they never questioned, or are newly coming to life and are reevaluating everything from the standpoint of what should we actually do about the world? And nobody else does what Bob Avakian does, which is go to what does this mean for an actual revolution to emancipate humanity? Okay, not how we get roped into this or that, representative of this system, but also how we're not just, we're not gonna pay attention to that because that doesn't mean anything for us because we're building our movement over here to the side. No, we are seizing the reins of history to carve out a future for humanity worth living in. And so with that, I don't know if you wanted to add.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Up and just go ahead and play.
Let's hear BA.
51, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Yes. Excerpt from 51 to whet your appetite so that you can go and listen to the whole set. 51 to, I believe 54 is up now, and 55 should, I'm looking forward to.
Bob Avakian, Revolution, number 51. Revolutionary Strategy and Tactics and Elections Under This System. Why I was correct in saying it was necessary to vote for Biden in 2020, why it is correct and crucially important not to vote for Biden or Trump now, and what this has to do with actually making revolution. This position of mine has been a focus of some sincere confusion, but also simple-minded pseudo-revolutionary attacks. Typical of this line of attack is the following statement someone made in connection with my message number 37. Quote, "A true communist wouldn't support Biden, which you did in 2020. Trump is a horrid choice, but the fact that you endorse Biden is sad and makes you a disgrace to the movement." I will leave aside the accusation of being a disgrace to the movement, because this is not a personal matter, but involves questions of profound importance in relation to whether and how a revolution can be carried out to overthrow this monstrous system of capitalism-imperialism and bring something much better into being. And because I have no interest in being part of any movement that does not concern itself with and in fact opposes what is involved and necessary in actually carrying out that revolution. What is involved is the fundamental difference between dealing with the necessity, especially the complex situations and difficult contradictions that one is bound to confront in the course of carrying forward the struggle for an actual emancipating revolution, and, on the other hand, infantile left posturing, petty sectarianism, and brittle dogmatism, which fails to recognize or to scientifically analyze and deal seriously with those contradictions.
To the AC. All right. Well, all right. Welcome back, Noche.
Yeah.
And welcome back to everybody. That was just a teaser from Social Media 51 from Bob Avakian, and it big questions that he gets into. Look, we're behind on time, so we're going to have to race ahead. But I do want to give a sense. If you go to Bob Avakian's social media, you scroll the titles. He gets into huge questions, and he ranges. And he broadens your mind in what you're supposed to think about, what to pay attention to, and how. He talks about Caitlin Clark and the basketball, both her quality of play as well as the controversy around her. He talks about the incredible basketball coach, Dawn Staley, and does she really want to be known as Taliban Dawn? He gets into incredible questions. You were talking, Noche, and earlier Michelle was talking about the beauty of the students rising up around Gaza, which is really important. And Bob Avakian gave a lot of leadership and backing and defense for what they were doing. Who's really disrupting the campuses? Who's really bringing an education people need? Who's really, anti-Zionism is not the same as anti-Semitism. Breaking down the big lies, more big lies from Joe Biden, hammering this, exposing all of the lies put out on this, but also struggling with, very importantly, and challenging the very people rising up and others who are being awakened by this over how they understand what they're going up against. Why the relationship between decolonization and real revolution. Why the South Africa model of ending apartheid there is not the model that we should take up today for ending apartheid, the real apartheid situation in Gaza and in Palestine generally. He's breaking down, anti-capitalism, but don't know what capitalism is. What really should be centered. People say, center the voices of the most oppressed, center this, center that. He says, no, what should be centered is scientifically based truth. He breaks all this down so deeply and in ways that the people who care the most, who are putting the most on the line need this leadership, as do so many others. And we hear so much in the messages today and in society every time we go out about the despair people feel. That is understandable if you don't have a scientific view of things, but it is actually not. There is hope in this real world, and and a materialist scientific basis, and Bob Avakian is illuminating that. So I want to give an update that we are now over $2,000 towards our matching pledge. We get a lot of donations, $1,000, $100, $400, $40, $500, $100, $31, and we just got some more that I didn't keep up with while I was speaking. So that's a lot of people giving very generously. We're at 12,190. We need to get to 14,769 to get the extra 5,000 to kick in. Again, our goal for today is $30,000 towards our $50,000 goal by July 4th. We have gotten a good start, but we have to really, it's not too late to call some friends, get them to tune in. There's other people who want to donate. We're going to read their statements in a little bit. We want to get to our next guest, but there's a few other things about the fundraising nuts and bolts we want to share. Can we put the portrait back up on the screen? Mm-hmm. We want to let you know that this portrait is still available for a donation of $600. It's a beautiful portrait by a professional painter, portrait painter. It's something that would be a joy to have on your wall in your living room, in your home when you have company over. You can tell them the story behind it. You can also go to the artist's Instagram, Jeremy JB Art on Instagram, and look at his other works. If you want to pick something else, the proceeds will go to the Revcoms and this fund drive. So that's for $600. We also we want to put up another painting that was a beautiful painting done. Both of these artists were with us in Cleveland and in Detroit when we went to a major conference around Palestine, supporting the Revcoms and spreading the word about this revolution, uniting with people, and also struggling and bringing in the social media and the orientation from Bob Avakian. If we could get the
introduce it, and we're going to cut out your mic for a minute.
Oh, okay. So this is a beautiful painting that was done by an artist from Chicago that they would offer for a donation of $500 or more. I think it speaks for itself. It's on canvas. I've seen it in person. It's a really stunning picture painting. Let's put it on the screen. All right, so that is, as you see, it's a tall. I mean, it's not actually that big. It's a narrow and beautiful picture of a child in Gaza with the moon over, and you see the humanity of this young person. You see the context. It is both captures the horror, but it is not a desolate portrait. It is a hopeful portrait, and it's very beautiful. So. Noche before.
Narrow in form, but very broad in spirit and mind.
For $500 or more, give now. Help us get to the $5,000 match. Sign up for Revolution School this summer. Go to revcom.us tomorrow. Register and spread the word to everybody that you've met. Struggle with them, invite them, challenge them, spread to them what is in that first social media dispatch from Bob Avakian. And let's get a lot of people. Let's get, dozens and hundreds of people enrolled across this country to transform their understanding, and we will do more than one session of these if we get enough people enrolled. So everybody should sign up and get others signed up. We got a lot of statements to read. Maybe we should just do a few real quick, and then we'll bring our guests.
Let's do a few real quick.
Okay.
We want to.
Our guests are really patient. We got Rafael Caderas and Leo from Chicago waiting in the wings, but they also want us to raise this money. So we have a supporter of the revolution in the Bay Area who is donating $50. They say, it is very obvious we need a revolution, considering international affairs, also considering the potential for civil war. There is a state of confusion, and it's the best time to push for revolution. Any time would be good, but especially now because the capitalist class is in disarray. They are correct. Give your money. Now it will matter more than ever.
Someone we met from a library from a Los Angeles public library says, every day I see unkindness among people because our society breeds cruelty and selfishness. I see the real possibility of war. I want to contribute to this live stream because I see the hope for a different society and future.
From Chicago, I am donating $100 to the Revcom Corps fund drive for the Emancipation of Humanity in memory of my son, who became a young victim several years ago of this vicious system we live in of capitalism-imperialism. No more precious lives cut short and ended prematurely. Now that is a very moving $100 donation. So please match that.
And hear this from a younger person in Texas who says, quote, when I found out about the Revcoms and how they are actively working toward a better future, I was intrigued. After reading through the website, emailing them directly, and then getting some insight as to just how involved the Revcoms are, I felt a giant weight come off my shoulders. It was a weight I had grown accustomed to. It was the weight of helplessness. Being able to open my eyes and see that not one single individual is helpless in this cause, and actually know that there are people who feel just as I do about the state of the U.S. was a new chapter opening for me, just as it can be for anyone who feels they have no voice. There is so much strength in unity. Being able to witness how the Revcoms have united together to battle this system of oppression and exploitation has been such a surreal experience. The lives of the future depend on everyone now, and we need to do what it takes to make sure those lives are cared for as the now generations. Everyone is fighting for a reason, the emancipation of humankind. And in donating to this cause, I know I am donating to a better tomorrow for all of humanity.
All right, we are halfway to our $5,000 match. We just got $350 more in donations in. Keep it coming. Another person says, here in Austin, we Revcoms are planning a Revolution pop-up restaurant and shop to raise money for Revolution Summer next weekend. We're going to sell some homemade food and drinks, as well as some art and the newest Revcom t-shirt. Hold that one up again, the newest t-shirt. Each item will come with a Revcom Corps zine. That's this little guy. We expect to make about $300, so we are pledging that much today to this drive for Revolution Summer. That's from Austin, Texas. From a regular supporter in Harlem, in New York City, I am donating $300 to the Revolution Summer. This government is going backwards. This government needs to be changed. I like Bob Avakian because he wants, you'll like this, he wants people to wake up and smell the coffee, not to sit back, to be aware that this government is not for us. I hope people in the U.S. wake up. If you are wealthy, you can get anything you want, even get around the law. I want the Revcoms to succeed.
A retired medical professional, quote, in the words of Bob Dylan, a la Jimi Hendrix, there must be some kind of way out of here. We can't keep going down the party politics road, Democrats versus Republicans. This is why I say we need a revolution, and I am supporting BA's analysis of how we get out of this mess. Join us in making a new future that includes humanity first.
Okay, so we have a few more. We're going to save them. You get the sense of the national movement and that you are part of today by tuning in, and the sense of the kinds of people who are out there waiting for us to reach them with Revolution Summer, with the work that you're doing together with the work that you are helping fund. So with that, we want to bring in, waiting in the wings in Chicago in the middle of the heat wave, Rafael Caderas, Leo. Oh, yeah, the earphones. Here we go. We want to bring you guys in. Welcome. Welcome. How you guys doing?
Good.
Hello.
Hey, good to be here.
Excellent.
The heat wave is kind of like, we got a break from it today, by the way.
Oh, I'm glad. Well, some of it is hitting us here, and we're letting everybody know. If you hear the humming in the background, we have been forced to occasionally turn the AC on. It makes a little background noise, but we don't want our machines to overheat because we want to stay with you. But we do want to heat it up, and that's why we brought these two on. So first of all, do you have anything to say about where we're at in this fund drive and what you think people watching should be doing right about now?
Well, first of all, I'm really heartened by all the messages that we've been getting. Really heartened to hear Juanita Young, who's, you know, turned all the pain and everything that she's been through into, you know, directed it at fighting the system that killed her son and so many others like him, you know. And I was feeling the letter from the person that was saying, you know, getting involved in this revolution is like a big weight getting lifted off of you. You know, that's how I felt when I first got involved in this weight of helplessness, you know, hopelessness, but also helplessness. You know, something's wrong. You feel like you should be doing something, but then actually having a way to make your life count, to actually do something that really matters. You know, that's what it means when you step into this revolution. And that's also what it means when you support this revolution financially. So, you know, I think in the next, you know, 20 minutes or however long Leo and I are on, we're pretty determined. We want to get that last $2,500 or whatever it is, so that we can make that $5,000 match. What do you think, though?
I mean, I think it's been really important that, like, so many people, you know, across the country have, like, you know, been inspired to donate, you know, to make some beautiful artwork that we've seen today, you know, to actually, you know, get out to people in different areas, from, you know, what people have been doing in Los Angeles to what people have been doing in New York to what we've been doing here in Chicago and Texas and other places, you know, spreading the word about this revolution and actually bringing people in and bringing people together, right? And building these networks of support, you know, and ways for people to, like, join in and contribute, you know, especially with, like, this fund drive that's, like, such an integral part, you know, to actually being able to get out to people with, you know, this revolution with BA, with the dispatches. And it's like, you know, starting off where we were, you know, with the just about $2,000, you know, and then these, like, important matching donations that people have made, you know. It's just really inspiring to see, like, you know, the work, you know, that, like, you know, people are, like, willing to contribute, you know, to something that's actually raising people's sights, you know, and giving people hope for a whole new world.
Yeah, we also, since you guys have been speaking, we have about $950 more have come in, which is beautiful. There's a number of different donations, and we are just about little more than $1,500 to go to meet our $5,000 match. So I would like to say, you know, in unity with Raphael, but also taking it a little further, I want us to do more than meet the $5,000 match while these two are on the line. You're going to be hearing, and why don't you guys talk some about what are the plans in Chicago? What have you been doing? How are you seeing Revolution Summer? Making real advances in ripening this situation this summer and accumulating and training the forces we need to lead this revolution. So you've been out in the world. We have some footage of that we'll play in a minute, but you've been out in the world. I know you've been training and studying, training people in and studying collectively some of the BA social media dispatches. Why don't you give us a sense of some of that?
Yeah, did you want to start or should I?
You start, and I'll follow up.
Okay, well, you know, it's yeah, you know, we are here in Chicago fighting to put revolution on the map and recruit people this summer, all summer long. You know, one of the first you know, things that were one of the first major plans of the revolution summer, you know, all across the country, but including in Chicago, is to take this revolution everywhere. Not enough people know about this revolution, and not enough people are with it. So we need to take this revolution everywhere. So just in the last couple of weeks, you know, I came out here from Los Angeles a couple of weeks ago, but just in the last couple of weeks, we've been out to, you know, we've been out to the beaches where a lot of people are at over the summer. You know, we went out to this one beach like the day after, you know, there had been a shooting there and 3 people had gotten shot, including a 14-year-old girl. You know, and this right here tells you exactly why it's so important that we're here in Chicago and that we're bringing this message, because this cannot be another long, hot summer in Chicago where the youth and other people, you know, are caught up in killing each other. You know, this needs to be a summer of revolution, a summer where people, you know, fight the real enemy, you know, and step up to defend each other and have unity with each other instead of killing each other the way that the system wants you to do. So, you know, we were out at the beaches. We've been out, On the South Side, we've been marching. We have a center actually on the South Side. Shout out to everyone that's watching this live stream right now at the Organizing Center on 71st Street. We're opening the center much more, having it open to the public, making this a center for revolution. We've been out, at a number, actually 2 different protests for Palestine, one of which, the police, brutally attacked and prevented people from marching and pushed people onto the sidelines and everything. Another one just yesterday, actually, where the police also made arrests. We've been up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where, on July 15th, mark your calendar, July 15th, the Republican National Convention is going to be starting, and we were up there uniting with people who are going out to protest at that convention. We can't have, these conventions first at Milwaukee, July 15th, and then late August, it's going to be, the Democratic convention right here in Chicago, and we can't have it just be, conventions as usual, where these, political parties, these ruling class parties, fascist Trump versus genocide Joe, right in the middle of a bloodbath in Gaza, comes to Chicago to put forward his, program and be nominated to be the candidate. No way. We have to put a completely different message on the map, and the eyes of the world will be watching, what goes on in Milwaukee in July and what goes on in Chicago in August. So we've been building up for this. We were up in Milwaukee, spreading the message, no fascist Trump, no genocide Joe, the whole damn system's got to go. And we've been, we were out at Juneteenth. We met a number of people who were drawn to the revolution at the Juneteenth festival. It poses the question of, however many years, 170 years after, the original Juneteenth, after the news of the emancipation from slavery finally reached the last people in Texas, after the white slave owners refused to even let the word get in there, but 170 years or whatever it is later, Black people still aren't free. We still have the, police killing Black people, unarmed young Black men, mass incarceration. This country has almost the highest incarceration rate in the world, the majority being Black and brown. In every category, Black people are catching the short end of the stick in housing and schooling, everything, So what's it going to take to finally get free? We were out at that, and a lot of people were drawn to our message, but it also raises the question, a lot of people were asking, well, yeah, I'm with you on revolution, but you can't beat these people. This came up a lot at the Juneteenth festival. And this is where it was so important to bring alive, look, we've needed a revolution for a long time, but we're not in normal times, and we're in a time where this could actually be possible, because there are, you never had a former president convicted of multiple felonies, like we've seen Donald Trump, 34 felonies. That shows you how intense things are getting in the ruling class. You never had a presidential candidate saying he won't accept the results of the election that he loses, which is also what Trump is saying, and that he's going to carry out retribution and put his enemies in jail if he comes to power. So, you see there's intense clashes right now, right at the top of this system, and we're bringing alive to people, all these people, who would like to see something better, who would like to see a better world, but don't really think it's possible. We're bringing out, look, now's the time to actually get organized. Now's not the time to get behind fascist Trump or genocide Joe and repair end up giving your stamp of approval to this system that's oppressing you, voting for one oppressor or another. Now's the time to get organized for revolution, because there could be a major crisis in the society soon. And we need the forces. We don't have the forces yet. We need thousands. We got to get those thousands this summer. And if we could have thousands, as Bob Avakian says, then millions start to take notice, and then when shit really hits the fan, then you have a chance to actually go all out to bring this system down and put something better into place. So, we've run into a lot of different things. Leo can maybe get into it. We've been, there's people, out in some of these neighborhoods of the oppressed in the south side of Chicago who have, also in the west side, who have also gotten caught up in this divide and conquer tactic of the rulers and are now blaming immigrants for the problems that they're in. So maybe Leo, you want to say something about that, or Sansara, if you have. I definitely want to say something about that, but if you have any other questions, Sansara, we could.
No, I want to hear from Leo, but I do want to say from the comments, got to lift this up. Raf cutting through the BS. That's what we're getting in the comments. So, Leo, why don't you go ahead and speak some on this, the divisions that are being fostered and reinforced among the people, and how you understand that and are struggling to transform that.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, there's been a situation where you have migrants, right, coming into places like Chicago, like New York, these sanctuary cities, right? Places that, people should be like, safe to actually seek refuge, when they're like escaping hell and horror, and they're like, put in these neighborhoods of other oppressed people, right? And they're falling into this divide and conquer scheme, like the migrants are taking something away, when that's actually not the case. Look, this system has fucked them over. They've fucked over the people here, and it will continue to happen as long as, people are falling for the divisions, one section against another, and, what we've been doing is, look, we've been going out in the neighborhood around the organizing center, which is in South Shore. It's become more of a mix, right, of migrants and Black people now. And this is like a tense question, for the people living here who feel like they don't already have anything, like migrants are coming in and taking what they don't have, right? And that's actually not the case. Look, the problem is this system, right, that has put people in these desperate conditions, right, to have to fight for survival here, to barely make a living, to eke out some existence, right? And what we've been getting out to people with is, look, don't fall for this age-old trick, to this divide and conquer, right? Of like having one section of people go against another, right? When capitalism-imperialism has destroyed the planet, is destroying the planet, it's plundering the people and the environment, and people are forced to come here from all over the world, and that's one of the many things happening here in Chicago, right? But not only, we've also been like getting into this question of well, like these like different conspiracy theories that actually come up that actually come from the fascists, to actually aid this divide and conquer scheme of, people are getting money and different things like that, when people are put in even worse situations and conditions, when they come here and they have their children ripped away from them at the border, and then get shipped, all over the country, so yeah, we've actually been trying to like get out and like, bring people the reality, of why is it that people are coming here from all over the world? We don't have an immigration problem. We have a capitalist imperialist problem.
Yeah. And if you want that message to get out, to the people who most need this revolution, but are caught up in bullshit, frankly, fighting against each other, fighting against other oppressed people, make a donation, because there are people out here, on the front lines bringing this message out to the masses of people, organizing them into the revolution. But that's not going to happen without a lot of struggle against these bullshit ways of thinking that people are caught up in. Leo mentioned conspiracy theories. There's a fascist congressperson in Arizona that's put out the word that, all these migrants are getting $5,000 Visa cards. And we found all these people, in South Shore in Chicago have now gotten the word that these migrants are getting these, all this free money from the government. And so they're feeling resentful about that. Well, first of all, you shouldn't feel resentful for some chump change that the government would give these immigrants anyway. But as it turns out, it's a lie that these fascists I mean, it's a lie that these fascists are spreading, and it's not actually true that these immigrants are getting some $5,000 Visa card. What they're getting is death and destruction in their countries. You know, Chicago is full of I didn't realize this until I got here, but I learned that, you know, there's tens of thousands of migrants from Venezuela who've just come in the last, you know, in the last couple years. Well, why are so many immigrants coming from Venezuela in the first place? It's because the United States has been oppressing Venezuela, exploiting that country, plundering the oil of that country for over 100 years. And just in recent years, just in the last few years, the United States has put sanctions on the government of that country because they don't like the government there. They've strangled the economy of that country, caused malnutrition for millions of children in Venezuela, knowingly caused malnutrition for millions of children in that country. Imagine you're in some, you know, country in South America, in Venezuela, and your kids are crying because they don't have the food, because they don't have the medicine that they need. What are you going to do? You're going to head north, probably. That's what these Venezuelans are doing. They finally get to the border of the U.S. and cross over seeking asylum, seeking a better life, and they get rounded up by Border Patrol. And then these fascists in Texas, you know, are sending them to these democratic cities in Chicago, New York, other places. So a lot of these migrants are not going where they didn't end up in Chicago because, you know, they're trying to take a vacation and wanted a, you know, second vacation house. They came to Chicago because they're trying to survive and feed their children. And, you know, and then they're not even ending up in the city that they wanted to end up in, but they're being bussed there by a bunch of fascists. And then when they get here, they're encountering this bullshit also from the masses who should be welcoming them, you know. And I do have to like ask people, you know, was it the migrants that enslaved Black people for hundreds of years? Was it the migrants, you know, from Venezuela? Were they the ones under the Klan hoods that were riding on your communities in the South for another 100 years? Was it the migrants that took all the good jobs out of, you know, or the decent jobs in Chicago and sent them overseas where they can pay people even less? No, that was this fucking system. You know, was it the migrants that flooded the ghettos with drugs and passed bills to mass incarcerate Black people? No, that was people like Joe Biden and, you know, Bill Clinton, you know, the same ones that are right now shutting the borders on these migrants, you know. So people are being played right now. And what we need to do, instead of fighting for crumbs, you know, we need to come together to fight this system that's destroying the homelands of these people all over the world, that's raining death and destruction on the people in Palestine. And it's the same system that's gunning down Black youth right in this country, and that's getting people to fight and kill each other and squabble over little crumbs. We can do so much better than that. You know, we can work together. We can have a society where we work together for the common good. We have the resources to meet the needs of everyone on the planet. You know, there's no reason anyone should be suffering malnutrition. Anyone should be dying of preventable disease. Anyone should be, you know, struggling just to survive, like so many people on the south side of Chicago or the west side of Chicago or South Central or Harlem or South Bronx, wherever you are, you know, struggling just to survive, having to hustle just to survive, you know, only to end up killed or in prison, you know, at a young age. You know, we don't have to live like this, you know. So this is, but it's going to take getting out of that, you know, me first mentality, getting out of the gangster mentality, you know, getting out of the America first mentality, you know, and realizing that and making common cause with people all over the world and coming together for something bigger than ourselves, which is a revolution to emancipate all of humanity from all this. So, you know, wherever you're watching this live stream, make a donation, whatever you can. It makes a difference. I see we're getting our, you know, the the numbers are going up
very
on the screen.
close.
We gotta raise some money so we can put this revolution on the map, so that when people are looking out, you know, at the situation, they don't just see they see the bigger picture, you know, and they see a force that's fighting for that.
That's very right, and we are very, very close to meeting the $5,000 matching donation. Everybody who's tuning in, think about what you just heard, what people actually need instead of all the bullshit they're getting, and what it means to have people who are out there struggling for this, and what it would mean to enable those people to have those tools even much more. $139 left for this $5,000 matching donation. We should blow way past that, okay?
Yeah.
And that's you guys have been doing well, okay? but we can do.
People have done pretty good, very generous.
I just mean in the last 20 minutes, right?
Oh yeah, we got really close to 5,000 right here.
But we can do.
We got to go further.
We can
got to go
more.
further.
And again, what you were just listening to in terms of like what difference it would make to actually fund this on a whole other level.
I want to say too, and I want to ask you guys to speak some. We have some footage of Raphael, Leo, and the Revcoms in Chicago out in the world, but actually you're just tearing it up live here with us. We'll see if we get to that footage. But I want to say that what you're hearing come out of Leo and Raphael's mouth. Look, you're talking about, you go to these masses, oppressed people, and they open their mouths, and the brainwash of this system comes out. And what you're hearing, listening, I see all these like fire emojis and heart emojis going as Leo and Raphael are talking and cutting through the bullshit, as is said in the comments. You're hearing people who've been trained in the scientific revolution and approach to revolution that Bob Avakian has forged, who are able to break that down for others, who've been steeping in and training in the social media Bob Avakian's put forward, and are able to take that and bring it alive with real-world examples. Raphael was mentioning in some exchanges before this live stream how much he learned from and how much of a difference it would make to be able to bring excerpts of one of the talks that Bob Avakian gave back in 2003, where Bob Avakian does something very similar to what Raphael just did. I heard the echo, where Bob Avakian breaks down why right here, where we're broadcasting from in Los Angeles, and not far from here in South Central, you have immigrants from Guatemala, desperate, who've been driven from their homelands because of the effect of U.S. imperialism uprooting the ability for them to subsist in the ways that they traditionally did, driving them out of their homelands, forcing them through the dangerous journey, which has only become more dangerous, to El Norte, to end up living shunted in the shadows without rights and being terrorized in the housing projects of LA, right next to black people who have their own journey, driven from the South into Los Angeles, into places like Chicago. Similar stories to the one that Raphael just told about Venezuelans. How did black people get in Chicago in the first place? They were driven by economic necessity off the South, out of the South, and by Klan terror, and pulled into the North for the industries before then the globalization he spoke about that took the jobs out of the North and out of most of the major cities and hurled them to even more exploit people at more vicious levels around the world. Bob Avakian broke that down. When we talk about the Revolution School, when we talk about training people in the social media that Bob Avakian's putting forward, when we say go watch the full interviews that Bob Avakian gave on the Revolution Nothing Less show, this is going to train you too, and donating will enable the Revcom Corps that exists to get out for the kind of things you just heard from Leo and Raphael to be spread in communities of the oppressed, among farmers market where more middle strata come out, cultural events, all kinds of flashpoints, people standing up around Gaza, spreading this message and the clarity you just heard, and training many, many more people in the same kind of thing. So I wanted to appreciate that. We are still $139. This doesn't make sense, people. $139 away from our $5,000 match. Somebody out there, some combination of people, 139 of you each giving $1, we can get to that goal very easily. Collectively, we can make it there. That will kick in $5,000 more. We are still trying to, our goal for the day was to reach the $30,000 mark. I don't know if we'll make it, but we can definitely make it through this $5,000 match and beyond. We don't have that much time left in our live stream, but I wanted to ask Raphael, Leo, I understand you guys have not the formal Revolution School that we're launching and we want people to sign up for these online courses in Bob Avakian's social media, but you've been doing what everybody should be doing already and with people as they meet the Revcom Corps, which is to bring them immediately into collective forms of discussing and studying BA's social media. I wonder if you could share some of that experience, the difference it's made, the kind of questions it's opened up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, look, part of what we want to do this summer is like, get BA everywhere he needs to be. Look, we've been getting into the dispatches ourselves, but we also have been bringing people in to wrangle with the dispatches as they come out. And we have a plan of every Wednesday, getting into 1 through 11, something like a smaller version of the Revolution School, right? Where we go through, these dispatches from BA that don't only get into, the depravity, of the U.S., right? But also really bring out, not only the need for this revolution, but the possibility, especially speaking to this being a rare time, from speaking to a number of different things happening, from the student encampments to, these questions of like human nature, actually how do you actually go to work on like, transforming people's thinking, and that's like what we're going to be doing this summer, getting into, we've been getting into the dispatches with people on Zoom. As they come out, they've been very important, discussions, and actually wrangling with, particularly the last few, recently, why voting for Biden in 2020 was important at that time, and why it wouldn't be correct to actually do the same thing now. Recognizing the leap in fascism that we're at right now. Also this question of like civil war and like what difference it actually makes to actually search and fight for the truth. Recognizing the objective terrain. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, well, I think we within the Revcom Corps, we have been, and people that get into this, this Revcom Corps and join it, this is the lifeblood of how we're getting trained, how we're learning the science of revolution. Is we're discussing these Baba-Vakian social media messages as they come out, and Baba-Vakian's really got his finger on the pulse of what's what questions need to be spoken to. He's addressing a question that comes up about, why did you guys vote in 2020 for Biden, and why are you guys not voting in 2020, and why are you guys saying we got to break out of this whole election framework and whatnot. But he's doing it in a way that really exemplifies, Baba-Vakian. This is not just someone who's putting forward abstract theories with no relation to reality or something. He is putting forward theories, but they're very related to reality. He's actually making a concrete analysis of the real situation that humanity confronts at any given time. And what we're facing now is different from what we faced in 2020. I don't want to get all into it right now. People should go listen to the last two social media messages. He also, the one before that, we had a really good discussion about that, because in that message, he brought alive a lot of the lessons from the revolutions that did happen in Russia and China, under Lenin and under Mao. So that's something you really got to listen to, But for anyone new that in the Chicago area that's watching, you be there on Wednesdays. We're going to start from the beginning and get into, go walk through the messages that train people and why we need a revolution and how this could be made in this time. I also want to say that we went out to, as you mentioned, Sansari, we went out to this conference, this Palestine conference,
I want you to speak. Before you keep going, I want you to speak to that, but I want to say thank you to somebody just gave $25. We now need 114 more to meet our 5,000 matching. I know it would feel so good to be that person who gives $114 and sees the thermometer go up by $5,114. So you could be that person right now. Or you could be like this person who just gave and kick in 20, kick in 5, kick in 75, kick in what you can to get us closer. I want us to keep the momentum up, but you keep talk a little bit. This conference in Detroit, it was thousands and thousands of people from across the country, several thousand, more than 3,000 or 4,000. A lot of the Palestinian diaspora from across this country and also different parts of the world, as well as many young people who've been standing up in the struggle. So why don't you talk some about what it was like there? All of us were there. Leo, Raphael, myself, some of the people who are donating artwork. Go ahead.
Yeah, and Sansara and others wrote a very important, open letter about the crossroads that this movement to stop this genocide, this movement for Palestinian liberation is at right now, and we've seen the student encampments have been a really powerful spark and have caught the attention of people all over the world and spread like wildfire, which, by the way, gives you a sense of how quickly things can change. These campuses were dead right before, I don't want to say completely dead, but, there was not that much protest for Palestine, and then all of a sudden, at Columbia University, these students started an encampment, and then the government came down on them, the police came down on them, and then they came back again and came back even stronger and set up their camp again. And that just spread this everywhere. And then all of a sudden you had camps popping up at schools all over the country. And you just see how quickly, this a movement like this can spread. That's what needs to happen for this movement for revolution. At the same time, we also appreciate how significant it is when young people and students at elite universities rebel against their own government carrying out a genocide, and how threatening that is to the interests of this system, which needs the state of Israel to carry out its imperialist interests in the Middle East, which is exactly why they came down so hard on these students. What's that, Sansara?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was talking to the crew here. I didn't realize you could hear me. You were carrying the conversation, and I was letting you. We want to say thank you. The reason I got excited, we want to say thank you. We met our $5,000 match. So we are at $14,795. In a moment, this will kick up to $19,795. And we are really fortunate. As we were doing this live stream, new matching challenges came in. We're hoping we can immediately put them, as soon as we get this on the board, we will put another one in effect. We're going to bring this to a close soon. I know that people who have given most people watching have given. Yeah. We're being told again. We made the 5,000. We did make the 5,000. We have another match that we want to announce.
There's another one from
$1,000.
Okay,
we have is it our final match, or we have more than that?
We have another one too, but
okay, we're gonna see if we can get this all in, because we want to max out today and get as close as we can towards the $50,000 goal. I was just saying, I know the people who are watching, most of you have given. If you haven't yet, do not wait any longer. We are now at 14,845. We have another, it just came in, $1,000 matching challenge from Chicago. A different group of people pooled their money and want to donate $1,000 if we can raise 1,000 more. This will get us past the $20,000 mark. It's really important we get this momentum. And then coming off of this, we need to raise a lot more money. We do need to hit the $50,000 mark by July 4th. And I know that there's, give today, call people to give today. Somebody asked for the information again about how to get the t-shirt for a donation of $20 or more. You can call the phone number on the screen if you have questions about anything. There's people live answering the phones, but we also have the email address.
Get organized for Revolution Tour revolutiontour@gmail.com.
That's getorganized4, spelled out F-O-R, revolutiontour@gmail.com. It's now on the board, $19,845. As soon as we get 1,000 more, it will be 21.
We got 19,000?
Yeah, that's the $5,000 match went in. People in the studio are appropriately excited. Okay, so I lost track of what I wrote down. Too many notes on the page. It'll be 21,845 if we make that match. So give a donation now, and then get ready to be fundraising coming off of this. We want to read a few more donor statements, and then I'm going to ask you guys to talk a little bit about a very creative form of fundraising that Paul Street is doing, historian and writer out in Chicago, giving tours of Chicago, bringing alive the history. So I think you might be able to give a flavor of what that's like. But we have a few more statements.
Yeah.
I'll go first with a short one. This is from Isabel Cardenas, who is a community activist since 1960. She says, I am donating because this U.S. government helps the wrong people who kill others, who kill nations. This country has always supported the people who rule over others and kill people in their own country. I'm giving this money to stop genocide and to the revolutionary movement. Thank you, Isabel.
Yeah, thank you. This is from a donor who gave $250. I'm writing this short note to tell people why I think that it is important to support Revolution Summer 2024. Freedom Summer 1964 consisted of an outpouring of college students from all over the country and from different strata and backgrounds who were outraged over the murderous, repressive atmosphere facing African Americans in the Deep South, particularly Mississippi. This atmosphere and acts of terror against peaceful protesters fighting for people's rights drew outrage all over the world and this country, and exposed many people to the hollowness of the much vaunted freedom and democracy that the rulers of this country boast about. Revolution Summer 2024 also offers up a parallel to Freedom Summer 1964, but in a deeper and much different way. Revolution Summer 2024 indicates that we have a much bigger and more serious battle ahead of us. It is the battle for the future of humanity and the planet. Here, in the belly of the beast, there is the potential to bring about a different future for all humanity via the Revcom Corps Revolution Summer 2024. I'm supporting it, and I want to encourage other people to support it as well.
All right, and we got this report from Cleveland, from a collective group of people who were out fundraising for the revolution. This is something that should inspire you. Ooh, $20,345. That's pretty good. Mm-hmm. So with $500 more, we will meet our latest match that just came in from Chicago, and that will take us to $21,845. This is really important momentum. We're going to wrap up soon, so let's meet that 5,000. We have one more match after that if we can squeeze it in. Let's see how fast we can get the numbers going up, how much momentum we can get, how far we can get before we have to wrap up. Ooh, another $100, $20,445. We are now $400 away from that match kicking in. So keep it coming, keep it coming. This is a report from Cleveland. After you donate, if you can kick in a little bit more right now or get another friend to donate right now, think about what you're going to be doing between now and July 4th to build for the kickoff actions on July 4th to say America was never great. We need and we demand a revolution for a whole new way to live, a fundamentally different system. How you're going to be part of strengthening the pull for revolution and the forces for revolution this July 4th and going forward from there. But also what you're going to be doing between now and then to raise the money. We should do these two things working together. So this report from Cleveland, it kind of gives you some ideas. They say, last night it was really interesting. It was a big crowd. I don't know where they went. They went somewhere with a big crowd. Almost all were black people, varying ages. We brought a sign with a thermometer for the goal. It was unbearably hot and humid, and there was very little interest in baked goods. But when I started loudly hawking the t-shirts, get the t-shirts again. These are really good t-shirts. When I started loudly hawking the t-shirts, just saying the slogan, no fascist Trump, no genocide Joe, the whole damn system's got to go. And following that up with, we have the leadership and a strategy that can win an actual revolution. Join in Revolution Summer. Make revolution resound across this country. Tune into the live stream this Sunday. Eyes lit up among a good section of the crowd, maybe a quarter of the people. Some folks stopped. 300 or so took flyers, and 2 bought the t-shirts. Then a couple of people went out to stores in an area we've been focusing on. A black hairdresser who had signed the banner that we took to Chicago for Revolutionary May Day poured out her heart about how inspired she has been by the risks that the students are taking to stand up for the Palestinian people. She contributed $20 to the revolution and immediately projected at Bob Avakian Official, the social media feed, on the store's TV in the salon, played the social media messages for the people in the salon and for herself, starting at number 1. This is a great example of going out, spreading the revolution, and fundraising at the same time. So make plans with you, whoever you're watching with, and people you can gather between now and July 4th so we hit that $50,000 mark.
And as we're doing this, you've been hearing about some of the uplifting and inspiring statements about why people are donating, but I also really want to share this one, which is a defiant statement of of someone who is supporting and donating, because we're also going to run into shit, okay, as we go out and do this. The shit of the system, but also the narrow ways of thinking and the petty bullshit that people get caught up in. So this is from an Iranian revolutionary and a follower of BA, who says that spewing the notion that Bob Avakian is a cult leader and that the RCP and Revcoms are cults is totally ridiculous and indicates utter ignorance. Since when has a cult and its leader stood up against oppression, exploitation, and superstition for decades? Since when has a cult and its leader advocated and fought for the emancipation of humanity throughout the world? Frankly, I would enthusiastically follow such a cult and its leader to the end. I am one of the fortunate former Iranian Students Association members who has read the writings and has listened to the talks and has followed the scientific and materialist outlook and leadership of Bob Avakian for more than half a century. Attacks and assaults on the BA, the RCP, and the Revcoms should be called out for what it is: reactionary, rumor mongering, and divisive. On the other hand, as Mao Zedong said, maybe to be attacked by the enemy is not such a bad thing, but a good thing if it is turned around and defeated. I vividly recall that the so-called cult leader declared that Iran, it's not our embassy, in support of the Iranian people 45 years ago during the American embassy takeover by students in Tehran in the so-called Iran hostage crisis. This selfless and courageous stand during the time when Bob Avakian and 16 others, called the Mao Zedong defendants, were being railroaded by the U.S. government and were threatened with 241 years of imprisonment, was a huge manifestation of selflessness and internationalism. Attack and assault on BA is an attack on agents of change, on the advancement of communism, and should be firmly rejected. More than that, BA and the Revcoms should be firmly supported, including with generous donations to make Revolution Summer 2024 a big success.
All right, there's some oh, wait a second. The number went up. We are at $21,095. So we have passed the match to get the $1,000 we needed. Yes, applause, please. Applause in your homes. Also applause. Let's do that. And that'll bring us to 22,120, which is wonderful. We'll get that on the board, and then we're gonna. Should I? Yes or no?
They said to do it.
Okay, so we're gonna pile on, people. We're gonna pile on. Clark and Judy Kissinger, beautiful supporters, participants in the movement for revolution for many, many years, and veterans of the 1968 protests of the DNC conventions back in the day in Chicago, have just announced that they want to push us further. They want to give $1,000 if we can match it before we close out. So starting at $21,120, we did not plan to have almost the entire fund drive today be matching donations, but this is the generosity and the momentum and the collective socialist competition, socialist spirit that we have going on here. So we have a $1,000 match donation from Judy and Clark Kissinger. We're sending you our love from here in the studio and from around the country, and let's see if we can meet that goal. I'm going to read one more. And then we will go to Raphael and Leo to talk about what Paul Street is up to. Yo, you want to read one more? You go ahead.
Oh, sure. I could go after you, but either way, I do want to there was one more statement that came in from Houston from a South Asian immigrant who believes in Bob Avakian's vision of emancipation of humanity. They say, I have been making some regular financial contributions toward the lofty goal of emancipation of humanity. By making revolution in the belly of the beast, the USA, and establishing a socialist country in North America based on the new communism and authored by the foremost revolutionary thinker and guide of our era, B.A. I firmly believe in B.A.'s statement that we, the people of the world, can no longer afford to allow these imperialists to continue to dominate the world and determine the destiny of humanity. They need to be overthrown as quickly as possible, and it is a scientific fact that we do not have to live this way. End quote from Bob Avakian. In this rare time, as BA has analyzed scientifically, when revolution in this country has become more possible, it is incumbent upon every justice-loving human being to support the great initiative, Revolution Summer 2024, by the Revcom Corps, in preparation of working for a real revolution for a whole new emancipating way to live. So, I would urge every decent person who cares, every person who has a heart, to take this opportunity to donate generously to make this endeavor a great success.
All right, that is a fantastic statement. While you were reading, we got a $1,000 donation. I want to make sure that that's a new donation and not the match that went up. Either way, we give you a lot of love and applause are due. But I want to find out, because if so, then that was beautiful. I really, our goal today was $30,000. We're over time. We're not going to go much longer. It would be really wonderful if we could get at least to 25,000. It'd be better if we got all the way to 30, but it'd be great if we could get to the halfway mark, to the $50,000 that we need by July 4th. So if you are in position, or you know anybody in position to make a donation to push us further, everybody who has given it matters so much. We're not asking you to, we're asking you to help expand the donor base. So, Raphael, Leo, I've been teasing it. There's a great fundraising creative idea from Paul Street. You want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's going to be next Saturday, June 29th at 2 p.m. The details are on actually the Revcom's Instagram account, and it's on the screen right now. But you can also find it at the Revcom's and the Revcom Corps Chicago Instagram accounts. So this is, for people that don't know Paul Street. Paul Street is a revolutionary historian who actually, knows a tremendous amount about Chicago. He actually taught the history of Chicago for years, and knows a lot about working class history and African American history. And he's going to be doing a tour of Chicago's South Side, and it's called and actually Leo's going to be part of that tour. Leo also, grew up in Chicago and knows a lot about Chicago. Partly this whole idea was inspired because Paul and Leo gave me a tour when I first got to Chicago of the city, and we're just going around. We started in the north, we went to the west, we went through the Latino neighborhoods, some Little Village, some of these other areas, Pilsen. Then we went down to the south side, and everywhere we were going, Leo and Paul were pointing out different places and their significance, right? And Paul in particular really is an expert on the history of Chicago, as I mentioned. And so this is going to be called From the Deep South to Mass Incarceration, a tour of Chicago's South Side. This 2-hour tour will take you to sites of hope and despair, resistance and repression, and I'm not going to read the rest of it, but they're starting out, after World War I, going through all the way up to the present, what the horrors that Black people have been through in Chicago. There was like white racist race riots, basically, where white mobs just mass murdered Black people in Chicago. People don't know this history. There's also important history of, resistance. There's the history of the kind of jobs that Black people were able to get when they came up north, fleeing, from the South, and then there's also what happened afterwards when a lot of these jobs and, got sent overseas, and the housing projects that got torn down, So Paul Street's going to be bringing a lot of insight about this and what it says about, this whole history of Chicago and the Black experience in Chicago, what this says about the nature of this system, but also the revolutionary potential of Black people and other oppressed people, the resistance that we've seen at different points throughout this, this whole history, and the hope that we have a responsibility now to realize, and the only way it can be by overthrowing the system that's been a nightmare for Black people and so many other people for so long. So did you want to add, you're going to be part of this tour? So
yeah, no, like I'm excited to be a part of this tour, just from like touring around with Paul and Rafa, where, look, there's a lot of history, right, of resistance, a lot of history of like rebellion, and a lot of history of rising up here in Chicago. And I'm excited for the people that do like donate to be a part of this, and actually go into what has the history of this country been, where have people like stood up against oppression, and where have people like resisted the crimes and outrages, right? And bring out the need for this summer, to make this a summer of, not as Rafa started off, look, not a summer of violence, not a summer where, the oppressed people are caught up fighting and killing each other, or getting drawn off into this divide and conquer scheme, but making this a summer to actually really put revolution on the map, and bring out, there's a whole better way that we could be living, and relating to each other, that doesn't require, just people fucking over each other, and bringing out, that, and some of the history of this city in particular, and some of these important places where, people have no idea, of what's going on, the history, the resistance, but bringing that out and taking that all the way to fruition.
So wherever you are, if you're in Chicago, you should definitely be there next June 29th, next Saturday, but also honestly, I would, if I was like in, somewhere else in the Midwest or anywhere, within like a few hundred miles, I would get to Chicago next Saturday to go on this tour with Paul Street. You will learn a lot, and you'll also contribute. They're asking $75 to $100 to contribute to this revolution. So,
that is such a community forging, like revolutionary culture and community forging way to collectively raise money. It's such a beautiful use of his talents and his skills and knowledge. It's going to enrich the experience. I wish I could be there in Chicago, and I want to encourage everybody in the area to do what Leo and Raphael just said, sign up for it, donate for it, but also everybody watching across the country, do like Paul Street is doing, do like the artists. Can we get the other two portraits to be put back up, the paintings that were made? Do like the artists who are donating their talents, this beautiful portrait for $600 donation, the painting of the young girl in Gaza, just beautiful, beautiful paintings, great artistry, people donating their talents, the people who are doing the baked goods that nobody wanted in the heat of the heat wave, and then they came up with other ways to get the word out and raise money for the revolution. I know people are gathering in Chicago and in New York to do yard sales, garage sales, rummage sales, stoop sales, whatever you call it in different parts of the country, but to raise money in that way. We have $100 that have come in towards this final $1,000 matching. Noche and I were just talking. We've gone way over time. We want to wrap this up, but we have over 100 of you tuned in still, more than that because there are collective watchings going on. So we would really hate to leave this final $1,000 matching donation from Judy and Clark Kissinger on the table. We'd rather get there. Oh, beautiful. 300 more dollars came in.
250.
350 came in.
250.
So 250 came in. Thank you. He's keeping me correct here.
Yeah.
So we have 750 further in donations to get to this matching donation. It'd be really good if we could get there together. Let's read a couple more of these that we have.
Yeah, there's a statement that came in from someone who earlier donated $500, and they say, from Hawaii, they say, there is no other group more deserving of this donation of my tax refund than the Revcom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity. I am honored to make this donation. To the courageous volunteers who will be out in the streets this summer, battling this hellhole of a system, with their vision, plan, and strategy that is guided by the work of Bob Avakian. I encourage all to donate as much as they can to this project. The future of humanity depends on it.
All right, and we've got a lot of different contributions coming in. I'm going to read this came in while we were streaming from a supporter in Hawaii. They say, great fundraiser so far. Thank you. From a supporter in Hawaii, Palestine and Hawaii have much in common. Israel, Palestine's oppressor, is essential to U.S. control of the Middle East. Hawaii, which was overthrown by the U.S., is the U.S.'s control center for the entire Indo-Pacific region. Beginning this week, the U.S. is launching RIMPAC in Hawaii, the largest military exercise in the world. This war exercise, involving 29 countries, will cause further destruction of Hawaii's land, air, and sea, and the lives of its people, while training for war with China and elsewhere. At the same time, opposition to the U.S. military and the demand for Hawaii's independence from the U.S. is strengthening. However, just as the U.S. is willing to commit genocide to hold on to its control in the Middle East, the U.S. will do anything possible to hold on to its control of Hawaii and the Pacific. But if the U.S. is overthrown and a socialist republic, as envisioned in the Constitution for the new socialist republic in North America, is established, the Hawaiian people will have the right to nationhood, and the iron hand of the world's largest oppressor, the U.S., will instead be a liberating force in the world. That's one of the reasons I'm donating to the Revcom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity, and I'm calling on you to join this movement for revolution right here in the belly of the beast and for the liberation of people across the planet. So this is a donation that came in from Hawaii today. I also, you want to read that one?
Yeah. This is a statement from a $200 donor to the Revolution Summer 2024.
Keep going.
Yeah. There is a horror, excuse me, there is horror in so many parts of the world, but at the same time, a new generation has come to life against the genocide in Gaza. Students have faced down the police, Zionist thugs, and expulsions from universities. They've courageously called out criminal genocide of Israeli government and U.S. weapon and intelligence. With the elections coming up here, this sharpens up the need to fight for a different future. Not genocide Joe, nor the MAGA promises of retaliation, racist, autocratic fascism. This brings up the need and possibility for real revolution in this country and what that will mean for the people of the world. I have a physical disability that prevents me from taking part in a lot of activities, but my heart is fully there. And I am challenging everyone to financially sustain Revolution Summer. For those of us who are not on the forefront, we can do a great deal to financially sustain this and work with others to inspire new people with a vision of Revolution Summer and beyond.
Okay, we're keeping Raphael and Leo in the wings to do one more pitch with us and say goodbye before we end, but we are still, oh, help me with the math. I was not paying attention. We need a few more $100 to meet our goal of the final $1,000 match that Judy and Clark Kissinger put up for everybody as a challenge. I'll give you the exact number in a minute, but we want to play two messages, a video and an audio message that came in. Keep giving. We want to get to this $1,000 final match. We need to get to $23,120 for the final match donation to kick in. So let's listen to these two messages. Donate while you're listening.
Now in my 8th decade of life and utterly devastated by Israel's genocide of the Palestinians, I can no longer tolerate nor respect the capitalist, imperialist, or settler colonial system under which we live the world over. And as a grandmother of 3 young granddaughters, I must fight for them to grow up in a world where every person is free from war and oppression, is free to be educated, expressive, and to think critically, is free to live and love as they wish, is free to live in a world that is not destroyed by climate disasters. So as a start, I'm making a humble donation in support of the Revcom Corps' Emancipation of Humanity Revolution Summer 2024. I believe in revolution.
Hi, I am Lavette. I am one of the fundraisers for Revolution Books and for the Revcom Corps. We have done fundraising dinners, stoop sales to raise money. And next week we are doing a rummage sale in front of Revolution Books. Why do I do this? Because we need revolution. A revolution that can end national oppression, exploitation, end police brutality, and end the genocide in Gaza. Barbara Vacan is leading the Revcoms and working to make this revolution possible. And I want to be part of this. We don't like the Democrats and the Republicans who get money from big backers. Our money comes from you. And we cannot make revolution without money. For all those who see what this system does, not only here but around the world, we need you to donate. We need you to donate generously to make revolution.
All right, so thank you to Lavette in New York and to the woman and the artist entering her 8th decade. Powerful statements. We are $335 short of the final $1,000 match that we're trying to make. I want to read a message that just came in from Revolution Books in New York City. It says, Revolution Books in New York would like to offer the live stream audience a painting by the artist Edward Ubiera. My bad. Edward Ubiera. This is an original watercolor using coffee as ink. The piece is titled Science, Albert Einstein. In the spirit of the scientific, evidence-based visionary revolution, the store is offering the painting to the live stream audience for a donation of $250 to Revolution Summer, which is almost all of what we need to meet this match. Kind of goes nicely together. Yeah. Ubiera is a New York-based artist who grew up in Jersey City and the Dominican Republic. His practice focuses on design, illustration, and collage, and his clients include Ad Age Magazine, Aeropostale, and New York Times. All right, so that is watercolor using coffee as ink. Let's see.
Albert Einstein.
Albert Einstein Science.
Celebration of science.
There we go. We need $345 to meet our final matching donation. We have a gift being offered to a donation of $250 from New York. We still have the portrait, the beautiful portrait for $600, the $500 painting of the girl in Gaza. These are really extraordinary. I'm surprised these haven't gone yet.
And if you have made a donation, again, to that amount, please email us, call us, make sure that for either for those portraits or for the T-shirts, and make sure that we're figuring out how to get these gifts to the people.
And we just got somebody donated $40 cash at the LA Organizing Center just now to get two of the No Fascist Trump, No Genocide Joe, the whole damn system's got to go T-shirts. If we get that on the board,
295 left.
If we get that on the, well, we have to get it on the board for it to count. But definitely keep giving, keep donating. We're going to play one social media post because we want to give a sense of the scope of what this Revolution Summer is dealing with. This is from Raphael. Perhaps you heard Louisiana just made it the law that every public school, every school in the state, from kindergarten all the way up to college, grad students, full grown-ass adults and tiny, tiny children are going to be forced to look at the 10 Commandments from the Bible by law. This is Christian fascism. Raphael jumped on this and posted on social media. We're going to play this for you, and then we're going to bring Raphael and Leo back to help us close this fund drive out.
Check out what just happened in Louisiana.
This bill mandates the display of the 10 Commandments in every classroom in public, elementary, secondary, and post-education schools in the state of Louisiana.
Dottie Horton, one of the Louisiana state representatives who sponsored this bill, said it's a great thing. It'll allow students to look up at the wall and see what God says is right and what God says is wrong. Okay, well, let's actually look at what your supposed God says is right and wrong. Let's start with the 10th commandment. You know, a lot of times this is shortened to thou shalt not covet. That's good moral advice, right? We shouldn't be envious of others. But what is it that we're not supposed to covet? Look at what the text says. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thy neighbor's wife, thy neighbor's slaves, thy neighbor's ox and donkey, or any of his possessions. In other words, slavery is perfectly fine. Just don't be jealous of how many slaves your neighbor has. And by the way, don't be fooled by the sanitized version they're planning to put up in the Louisiana schools, which is going to say, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's maidservant or manservant. What they're talking about is slaves, male and female slaves. And let's also look at how in this 10th commandment, thy neighbor is clearly a man, and his wife is listed as just another one of his many possessions alongside his slaves and his house and his oxen. This reveals exactly how the 10 Commandments view women, you know, and all throughout the Bible, how women are viewed as nothing more than property of men. And what is the clearly specified punishment if you violate any of these 10 Commandments? Death. You work on Sunday? Death. You disrespect your parents? Death. You worship other gods like a billion Hindus in India do? Death. You use the Lord's name in vain? Death. Jesus fucking Christ, goddamn! As the revolutionary leader Bob Avakian put it in his must-read book, Away with All Gods, Unchaining the Mind and Radically Changing the World, what's wrong with the 10 Commandments? Plenty. What harm would it do to have the 10 Commandments put up everywhere, including in all kinds of public places? Wouldn't that be a good moral instruction for our children? No, it would not. Not when you recognize what it is these commandments are actually talking about, and when you see what penalties are demanded for going against these commandments. Read this book.
Oh, snap, Raphael. You were on fire. Read this book. That is a great book. Away with All Gods, Unchaining the Mind and Radically Changing the World. Nothing calls out the 10 Commandments and the harm of religion, the mental slavery and shackles of the method of religion, the poisonous, reactionary, harmful content of religion taken, the Bible taken literally, and all the major religions, and also the basis to unite with and struggle with people who are religious, coming from more progressive places, and the grounding in communist morality and critical thinking and the scientific approach. It's an incredible book. So you nailed it. Before I bring you on, see, we keep promising that we'll go back to Raphael and Leo, but we have to say we made the match. Clark and Judy's $1,000 is now going to come on the board. We more than made the match. I want to read one of the ways that we made this match. Is a really very moving gesture, generous and meaningful, and I want to read what they said. We are making a collective donation, $500, for the painting of the girl in Gaza. We are making a collective donation from Texas to buy one of the paintings in memory of a dear friend who recently lost her battle with cancer and who was an ardent supporter of Bob Avakian and the Revcoms. We intend to donate the painting, if we can get it, and I believe you can, to someone who did a lot of care for this comrade, for our comrade, throughout her illness, and especially in her final days. We all miss our comrade a lot, and it would mean a lot to us to be able to give one of these beautiful paintings in her name. It's a really, really beautiful. Just think about the heart and the love and the desire for a world free of genocide and all the horrors and nightmares of this system that went into the beautiful painting. The picture of the young girl full of hope in this atmosphere of desolation rained down by Israel, backed by the U.S., that is captured in that painting that she created, and the love and the heart of these beautiful comrades in Texas pulling together to make a donation in the name of another comrade who fiercely wanted revolution and loved and supported Bob Avakian, and to then give this as a gift to somebody who helped care for them. All the connections, all that revolutionary spirit and culture, all of the taste of the kind of culture in the world that we need to bring into being across this world through a revolution, and that we have to be living and embodying now. And so it's a really meaningful donation, that $500. It got us much closer to our goal. We had another statement in from a very generous donation of $1,000. I'm going to look at it for a minute. We can't read the whole thing, so I'm going to look at it and pick something out of it. But if you, I think Raphael and Leo, if you have closing words that you want to depart, give people as we depart Noche, and then I'll grab something for
Maybe
this.
you give them the opportunity, so they can get off the...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and then I'll...
Yeah, Raphael, Leo, you have any words you want to close out with?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say, one, this like fundraising live stream has been like very inspiring to see. One, like all the like collectivity that's like coming together to like for people to be able to donate and contribute, but also a lot of the creativity, the from the artists. And I just want to put a call out. I mean, look, not just for this fundraiser, but be a part of this summer. I mean, bring your creativity, bring your art, your music, your like joy for humanity, and bring that together with others, and putting revolution on the map this summer. I mean, it can make all the difference, for people to bring, all this different experience, that people have, actually contribute to a movement, that's actually fighting to put something radically different, on the map. People have talked about the despair, from what's actually happening in Palestine and what's happening in the Congo and the femicide in Mexico, and migrants coming here from all over, and then the world crisis of the destruction of the environment. People look at the world like a feeling of doom, and what needs to be brought out is this inspiring vision of a radically different society, based on the new socialist constitution that, Sansara is holding up, and that's what, we need to bring out this summer, going into the fall, when people feel this dread, like their choices are just between, the fascist Trump on one hand or genocide Joe on the other. We're saying, no, the whole damn system has to go. And there's not only the need for that, but the possibility, I'll say that.
Yeah, I really agree with what Leo's saying. And, every day I wake up and, read the news and I get reminded about why we're doing this, like today I was reading about, hundreds of people died in Mecca in Saudi Arabia because of heat, because this planet is warming. The last year was like the hottest year on record. And this summer is like scorching, all here in Chicago, but in the Midwest, but all over the world. People are dying. People are like starting to live in places that are going to be uninhabitable soon to human beings, because capitalism, the system driven by the competitive chase for profit, is destroying our planet. And the other thing that just screamed out at me this morning is I saw this image of this Palestinian in the West Bank. Keep this in mind. This is the West Bank. This is not Gaza, where, Israel is supposedly targeting Hamas and all this stuff. Their excuse for all the destruction that they're waging is Hamas, right? In the West Bank, they went into this area and started shooting people, shot this guy. They didn't kill him, but they injured him. And then they strapped this guy to the hood of their military vehicle and paraded him around the streets in this West Bank town. What does that remind you of? You know, it reminds me of how, you know, in the history of this country, they, you know, would use these lynchings of Black people as examples to other people. You know, it would be a public spectacle, you know, or you think back when there were slave rebellions in the history of this country, and then they would put the heads, chopped off heads of slaves, you know, on spikes and just leave them in the town so no Black people would ever think about rising up again. This is what Israel, fully backed by the United States, is doing right now. This young guy was dragged through the streets for hours and then had his skin scorched from being on the front of this military vehicle. This is why we're doing it, you know. And I also just think, you know, I appreciate Leo's point, not just the horrors of what the masses are being put through, but we have an opportunity here like we haven't had in generations. You know, we really do. We haven't seen these kind of deep cracks in this system, you know, since the first Civil War. You know, speaking of slavery, since the first Civil War, when the North and the South divided up and then actually fought each other. And then that opened up space for the slaves to not only get free, but for Black people to come to the fore and fight for their own liberation. We're in that type of situation now, you know, and this is an opportunity, including this summer, you know, with the eyes of the world on the Republican National Convention and then in the Democratic National Convention. You know, this is an opportunity to impact this whole society and the world. You know, this empire is in deep shit. We just have to say, this empire is in deep shit. They're very powerful. They have a lot of weapons. They have a lot of means of brainwashing people and shaping public opinion. But this empire is cracking. It's facing huge challenges internationally and domestically. And this is our moment. You know, if we could get some forces this summer, we could actually have a chance to bring this system down. So join us. And I want to thank everyone who's donated. You know, it really matters. You know, this revolution needs frontline fighters, and I know some of the donors are frontline fighters also, but it also needs whole networks of people that are supporting it and having the backs, you know, of the people who are, you know, on the front line. So thank you so much.
All right, Leo, Raphael, live from Chicago. I want to thank you guys for being with us on this live stream.
It's great to see you.
Yeah, really great to see you. Do not slow down. Gather some more people with you. And we're doing that here, and people everywhere across this country need to do this exactly like you said. This is the time to gather the forces for revolution, to train them for revolution, to seize on this rare time. We have, we're wrapping this up now. We have a number of very generous donations that we got just in the last few minutes. We got over the halfway mark. Substantially over the halfway mark to the 50,000 goal we need to meet by July 4th. We are now at $26,655 raised during this live stream. This is very significant. I want to give a shout out to the $60 in cash that were donated from a watch party in Los Angeles at the Organizing Center. And I want to read a statement that came in from somebody who $100 just came. Thank you again. I want to close by reading this statement for myself and then let Noche say the final word that came in from a very generous donor who is a longtime fighter for revolution and supporter of this revolution, you know, a Revcom in this revolution, who says, I know I don't need to remind people watching this live stream what it's been like these last months, watching the ongoing genocide in Gaza, especially knowing that blame for the gruesome deaths of growing thousands of Palestinian mothers, fathers, uncles, journalists, aid workers, doctors, the destroyed homes, hospitals, schools, refugee camps. Blame for all of these is not only on the Zionist state of Israel, but right here, this U.S. government, the government of this whole capitalist imperialist system. At the same time, though, along with the pain and the outrage, I've been astonished and heartened by the brave resistance of people in this country, especially by the students who are refusing to be silent and are doing whatever they can to stop this genocide. That includes so many Jewish young students and others who, despite growing up with the same indoctrination and Zionist myths about Israel that I grew up with, have rejected those myths and were among the first to fight to stop this genocide. But here's the thing. What I've been most inspired and heartened by are the comrades from the Revcom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity. They are not just doing what they can to link up with and be part of this movement for Palestine, but are taking responsibility to struggle with people in this movement over the biggest and hardest questions. What's it really going to take to not just stop this genocide, but what is it going to take to actually end this system that is driving not only this horror, but all the other horrors facing humanity? Their tenacity and courage, including in the face of sometimes unprincipled attacks, it's those comrades who have most inspired me, and it is honor of them that I am donating $1,000 to Revolution Summer 2024. Wow, we got in more money while I was reading that. I really want to, we're now at $28,528. For my closing words, I want to really appreciate and send my love to this person, this beautiful Revcom, who donated so generously. It really matters. I want to thank everybody who has given during this live stream, who has dug deep to give everything you can. I want to appreciate that, and I also want to really reinforce that from here, we have to take that same spirit and determination, that same willingness to sacrifice and dig deep, to go out boldly, broadly, everywhere we can to spread this revolution, to wake people up to what time it is, what is possible in this time, to bring them the social media messages from Bob Avakian, to bring them the Revolution Nothing Less show. Oh my God, we didn't even talk about the incredible coverage we've had on this show. The interviews with Alan Goodman, the interviews Alan Goodman has done with people about Gaza, doctors who went to Gaza, people. We're going to play a new one this week from somebody on the ground in Gaza on the Revolution Nothing Less show. Spread this show, spread the all-around leadership that Bob Avakian is providing at revcom.us and through the interviews he did on this channel. Build the Revcom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity and raise money as you do everywhere you go. Sell the t-shirts, sell the stickers, hold them up. Order some stickers. These are really popular all over the place. Stop the repression of pro-Palestinian voices. Stop the U.S. Israeli genocide of Palestinians now. Anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism. And we have, not here apparently, but we have ones also. We need and we demand revolution for a whole new way to live, a fundamentally different system. We have stickers you can use to fundraise, t-shirts you can use to fundraise, bake sales, yard sales, artistic gatherings, historic tours. Donate and raise money as you do to spread and build the network supporting this revolution so we meet the $50,000 goal by July 4th, and so that people come out with us on July 4th to declare Revolution Nothing Less, to kick off Revolution Summer with momentum, with power, in a way that gathers thousands through this momentous summer, going into even bigger shocks and storms this fall.
Appreciate those words that you were sharing, and I do just, I guess, to end us off, I want to say on behalf of the Revcom Corps for the Emancipation of Humanity, I want to acknowledge and appreciate not just the contributions that have been made today, but the real sacrifices that that these represent, and the greater sacrifices that we're going to have to call on each other to actually make to seize this historic moment. And I wanted to share just a reflection on two things that were said by younger people who, in the course of working with the Revcom Corps here in Los Angeles. One was a student who had just done the teach-in that Michelle talked about on their campus, and they walked through, very movingly to me, first seeing what was going on in Gaza when it began in October, and then becoming somewhat cynical because it goes on, and then you go back to thinking about your school, your education, your future, and there's someone else who's around the Revcom Corps who has their heart for humanity and has really learned a lot in working with the Revcom Corps, but is facing getting out of high school and having to live under this system and think about your life, your future, your hustle. And you think about the millions of people who face this and how much people have changed, like that student, from just a few months ago, thinking about their career, their future, their education, to really walking point on her campus to do this teach-in, and then crossing a big line by going into a neighborhood where you're not supposed to go if you're not from there, because it's where people tell you is the worst of the worst, the irredeemable monsters, and where people even from there think of themselves and are trained to think of themselves and people, they're like their neighbors, as people you don't want to associate with, that you should be afraid of. Crossing that line and coming together with people from that neighborhood. And then I want to share the sentiment from one of the young people from that neighborhood who also came to that teach-in and said at a certain point that they have trouble getting out to some of the meetings over the weekend because their weekends are supposed to be for fun, and they were trying to see when we can organize the next thing. But they said this very moving thing, and they said, but actually this is more important than having fun. And someone rightly also followed up and said, and we have to make this fun. Okay? And you think about, again, them representing millions of people who, at a time like this, can go through the changes that normally take years or even decades in a few weeks, this summer. And everything that we've contributed and brought together today, and all the sacrifices that are being made to make these donations, but also going forward to have the impact that we need to have through this summer, and to bring together the people that we need to bring together to have that impact. And imagine the millions of people who are going to see not just stop the genocide in Gaza, but we need and we demand a whole new way to live in a fundamentally different system, and how that could rip them out of their complacency as they're increasingly forced to confront where things are headed and what future will be for humanity. Think about all the people who are thinking about what they want to do with their weekends and how to have fun, and if they see a growing force of people who are, yes, struggling and taking a lot of responsibility and being very disciplined, but also having a lot of fun, living by points of attention for the revolution, because they represent a whole different way to live and a whole different world to fight for than the suffocating garbage of this system of treating people like things and having no respect for each other other than to degrade and use each other, are living for a whole different world. Imagine throughout the summer people seeing people doing that with their summer and fighting for that whole different way to live in future. And as things sharpen up and more society rips apart, and more violent conflicts within society over where the future is going to go, there is that force of first thousands that people see, organized, disciplined, inspiring, and bold and fearless. And those thousands influencing the millions, and then ultimately able to lead those millions in this time that we live in now, which some people don't even get to see in their entire lifetime, that they work and struggle for and hope for. The time that we have. Imagine what we could start this summer, and what we can do if we pull together our resources and the resources of everybody who wants to see this kind of fundamental change. This is the biggest thing that we can do with our time, our resources, our summers, and our lives. This is a truly wonderful time, and it is truly precious that we have a leader at this time to see this possibility and to lead us through it. Let's not waste it, and more than that, let's seize it, and let's have a lot of fun this summer doing it. The greatest thing that can be done for humanity. So again, on behalf of the Revcom Corps, thank you, and I want to appreciate the contributions, the sacrifices, and we're going to call on you and others to be part of giving more, because we can.
All right. So, good night, everybody.
Good night.